I'm back. Wait, fuck. Hold on. 1 second. I have to get. We're back.
Oh, hey, soldier boy. Soldier boy, tell him. Wait, so hold on. Let me get this straight.
I actually have to get my. Hold on. I'll play this. I gotta be right back. I don't know what happened. 1 second.
Gesture, and this has nothing to do with them. And I would imagine that they must be feeling some sort of pressure when they have all these people, attacking me and coming at them. Like, why would you invite her there? And da-da-da. Like, that's sad. No. They shouldn't be questioned on why. And then just imagine someone saying, oh no, we offer Nicki Minaj the same phone call we offer everybody else. What? You think they would offer that to Mookie in the projects? No. Everybody else. And I see why a lot of celebrities keep themselves bubbled up. You understand? We're living in a place without free health care. So
Sorry, I'm back. Getting my food. I genuinely don't fucking know what happened there. It said I disconnected like my internet, which was weird. But then I closed Streamlabs and I tried to open it again, and it just wouldn't open. It said it was open and I didn't see anything, so I just had to like restart it. Yeah, I got it replaced. Actually, I agree with Nicki Minaj about the vaccine though. Now that I've had some time to think about it as I've been offline, I've come to the conclusion that she's right, and I apologize for disagreeing with her. The barbs got me. Yeah. I lost all my tabs. There was a bunch of shit I wanted to bring. I had a bunch of content. God damn it. I need to fucking what other shit did I have? Oh, we can look at this now.
I'm not the reporter that Tucker Carlson is, because I failed to cover the other day the story about Nicki Minaj's cousin's
I don't
friend.
think Control Shift F doesn't work.
So if you missed that story on this program, I will defer to Tucker Carlson, who reported on it Tuesday. Oh, yeah, let's hear him reading the tweet. Sorry, is that what that was? Okay.
Oh, Shift T.
He added this. She said that her cousin in Trinidad, quote, won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now that girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied. Which seems sensible. Big reaction to this. We'll report on that tomorrow.
Okay, so there it is. There's the report. Now, a lot of people have speculated, and it's completely speculation, that the guy, the cousin of his friend, the friend's cousin, cheated on his fiancée, contracted an STD.
And then said it was the vaccine.
And then said it was the vaccine.
But Nicki Minaj is taking it at face value because for some reason the Met Gala is in the news a lot, and that was her excuse. That's why she couldn't go to the Met Gala, because they had a vaccine requirement.
We watched like a second of this.
At the very, ironclad sourcing of her cousin's friend's big balls.
And now, and then this is, should we do number 10 first? To show that he did the up, and then we'll do the number 11, right? Okay, so this is the sequence. So, he said we're going to report more on this tomorrow, and then tomorrow was Tuesday, right? This is let's play this clip.
No, we haven't been able to figure out whether this show is broadcast in Trinidad, but
is this why she was dropped? Wait, what is this? Prison for Nicki Minaj's sex offender husband threatens her family dreams. What's up? Oh, so she was dropped by her management for this type of shit.
If Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend...
So she's like spiraling. This is all like fucking spiraling, basically, is what you're trying to tell me.
...is watching, or his former fiance is watching, we want to hear your story. We'll come to Port of Spain to see you. Let us know.
There it is.
James
they will travel to Port of Spain to see them, to examine, presumably, the testicle size and the catalyst.
Wasn't he telling other people to do his do reporting for him about like he's being spied on scandal from earlier this summer? Like, but now we can send people to Trinidad.
Well, it's all about just like when and where Fox can allocate the resources for the story that they feel is most important.
Get our balls guy to go down to the
Get sequencing wrong? Okay, well then it's
not a big deal.
Okay, well, just to be clear, before he said he was going to seek out the cousin's friend or the cousin, he realized that he had made a mistake. It wasn't the cousin, it was the cousin's friend. So here is his correction.
Why is it out of... She's at her lowest.
We owe it to him to play his correction.
I do sort of feel bad. I don't like, but obviously that is also predicated on her supporting some shitty people. But the thing is this shouldn't have started all this. That's a problem with our world, with our society that we live in. That this is the discourse now because of Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj. She entered the conversation abruptly with this tweet yesterday, quote, "My cousin in Trinidad won't get the vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent," she wrote. "His testicles became swollen. His friend was weeks away from getting married. Now the girl called off the wedding. So just pray on it and make sure you're comfortable with your decision, not bullied." Now, two things about that tweet. Last night we read it, we put the graphic on the screen, and we suggested that Nicki Minaj's cousin is the one with the swollen testicles in Trinidad. And we were wrong, and we want to admit it. We henceforth correct the record. Nicki Minaj's cousin's testicles are not swollen. As far as we know, he's fine. It's Nicki Minaj's cousin's friend's testicles who are swollen from taking the vax. That's the claim. But it's not anything to do with the physical effect of the vaccine that makes our political class mad. It's the last part of Nicki Minaj's tweet that enrages them. The part where she says you should pray on it, make the decision yourself like a free human being, and, quote, don't be bullied.
I love the news.
So our media and public health officials didn't like this because they make their livings bullying people. So they couldn't let it stay.
I mean,
good on him for
it's responsible journalism, I guess.
Issuing his first and only ever correction, right? You know, it has to be for a story of this magnitude that Tucker Carlson is going to be honest. I mean, he tries not to lie. He tries.
Which, like, obviously, you know, the point is, like, these fucking news journalist assholes, they're so ruthless. What a minor mistake. Which is weird, because it's like, no, I mean, that's not something you should, that is a detail that you should not get wrong.
To be fair, they did say they would go to Trinidad to find out the exact magnitude of the story.
Yes.
Of the story.
I'm sorry, of the story. Right.
Right.
Sorry. Yes.
Right. You mean the exact magnitude?
The magnitude of the story.
Right.
The magnitude of the story.
Is it magnitude or magnitude?
That's magnitude.
This is a blue show today.
We have the Trinidad and Tobago health minister who has decided to weigh in on this.
Okay, let's hear that.
One of the reasons we could not respond yesterday
it didn't exist.
in real time
This is
to
a
Ms.
fake
Minaj.
case. That is, I do have to say, the idea that this is made up, that there is no person that even has, well, I guess the claim is related to vaccines, right? So it's not that it's made up, it's that cousin's friend has swollen testicles, but probably because cheated on fiance.
Is that we had to check and make sure that what she was claiming was either true or false. And unfortunately, we wasted so much time yesterday running down this false claim.
Again, how is this the case? How is there like a portion of the White House that is like, oh fuck, you know, we have to get, and you know, in Trinidad there's like the fucking medical establishment is like, we need to dedicate a certain section of our time as an institution to deal with this. How is that happening? How are we in a position in the world in which that one Nicki Minaj tweet causes this?
It is, as far as we know, at this point in time, there has been no such reported either side effect or adverse event. And what was sad about this is that it wasted our time yesterday trying to track down, because we take all these claims seriously, whether it's on social media or mainstream media. As we stand now, there is absolutely no reported such side effect or adverse event of testicular swelling in Trinidad, or I dare say,
What a bully.
none that we know of anywhere else in the world.
What a bully.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. So,
Obviously bought off by Big Pharma. We know.
That guy makes his live on being a bully.
this is what's his title? Chief Swollen Testicle Ignorer?
The art curator of the Met Gala.
Exactly.
That's just a big storm outside.
I hope.
That's scary.
I hope that in no way Tucker Carlson is dissuaded from reporting further on this story. Run down the question of the testicles. Do you see how, like, on day 2 of the story, when he realizes, like, okay, I got away, I have squeezed everything I want out of those large testicles.
I have milked this story as much as I possibly could.
In terms of its media value.
Ouch.
Now I'm just going to move on to the fact is that they're really pissed about the fact that she says pray and don't be bullied into this public
Smile.
health requirement or, you know, strong suggestion.
Well, I mean, Tucker was also really excited that Nicki Minaj called Joanne Reed a slur, so that he got a little bit more enjoyment out of that.
Oh,
There you go.
new BFF.
Folks, there's more of what you've
Yeah, the Joanne Reed beef. It's tragic that I'm taking the side of Joanne Reed on a politics issue. Because wasn't she just like, what are you fucking talking about? Yeah, critical support, I guess. Yeah, it's all, I mean, a lot of this is people are still inside, and people aren't actually. The drunk Rudy clip is so fucking good, dude. Sandra Committee, thank you for the 21 months. Watching Sam Cedar content might as well just steal my entire stream. Listen, yeah, that is the rules. There's in terms of React streamers, there's like territory on YouTube, and you have to find your own territory to steal. Because if you steal someone else's content, or you steal the content that someone else is stealing, then that's a problem. Let's play the drunk Rudy thing. How you doing, Mike? It's really funny. I don't know if we watched it. He is sloshed. It is so cool.
Imagine that Tony Blink
I violate. That's true. I don't care about property rights. That's
or Miley? It's 400 miles from China, ass. What the hell is wrong with you?
I want to see the whole thing. Let's watch the whole thing. Can I find the whole thing? Let's see. How long is it? Oh, is it 9 minutes long? Jesus. No. This is all React. It's all React content to the speech. The React, the military, the React industrial complex. Yeah, please be an hour long. That would be very funny. It's not, it's a, wait. Is this the full thing? It's definitely not. I want the whole speech.
Giuliani's still getting.
No, it's not. It's more. There's no. Where's the speech by itself? God damn it.
Well, it is not.
That's disappointing. Let's.
She said, you did a wonderful job on September 11th, and therefore I'm making you an honorary knight, Commander.
Thank you. r/public freakout. Wow. I don't know if this is a full thing.
Can you imagine that Tony Blinken or Miley? How's that guy a general? Jesus. The other day, he said that the Bagram Air Force Base is not strategically important. I wanted to grab his, what do you have, 5 stars, 10 stars, 12 stars? He has so many stars that come into his ears. I wanted to grab his stars, shove it down his throat, and say, it's 400 miles from China, asshole! China is going to be...
Sorry, you could hear the audience is like, oh no. Because they're, oh no. Like, because they're laughing at the start of it, right?
Can you imagine that Tony Blinken or Miley?
Like
from
they're...
China, asshole!
Just that, like, that echoing silence of his... Because he's not allowed to swear on this, I'm assuming.
China is going to be our enemy for the next 40 years. You have an air base 400 miles from them, and you're giving it up, idiot. What the hell is wrong with you? Who paid you? Christ, that is crazy.
It is also memorializing 9/11. That is another very funny aspect of this.
I don't know. I shouldn't get into this. What Biden did in the last 2 weeks is freaking insane. It cannot be explained. Well, 20 years ago, I did my job for the country. I'm very proud of it. But I did it because of them. What Bernie demonstrated to you, I was so happy he did. You can't show everybody, right? You can't show, look, every one of them would like to show you the 10 people that supported them. Right, Espo? Right, Joe? Right? You didn't do it on your own. How many people did you have helping you?
Cops are bad.
I had
cops.
Denny. I had Tony.
Thank you for the 2
I had Howard. I had Joe. And I had a lot of people. Where's Tony? I mean, I had these people that were with me.
I want the full one so badly. He's a New York. He's got New York podcaster vocal fry. That's so true. That's such a good point. Yeah, I mean, Rudy really was the person. Like, it's funny that Rudy got a Person of the Year, but it was like in 2001 as opposed to 2020 because he was the Person of the Year for 2020. If anyone has the full speech, if they can find it at all, please let me know. Oh, is this?
Can you imagine that Tony Blinken or Miles?
All cops are
No,
bad
this is the
cops.
same one, I think. Eli, thank you for the 6 months in advance. Thank you so much. He's speaking at a F tier 1, thank you. A 9/11 memorial event where he's just fucking sloshed. Remarkable. That is truly incredible. I can't think of a better way to respect 9/11. Um, when Joe Biden promised to lick your other ball, was he being prescient about the? When did he promise to lick my other ball? When was that? Oh, you mean Ted Cruz? When did Ted Cruz promise that? Is there a clip of this? Oh, oh right, this one, right. This real quote from Ted Cruz. I forgot. Thank you. Let's tread on. Mike is like an ANCAP where he's like, "Don't tread on my," and then I'm like the ANCOM. That's like, I'm gonna do it.
Folks, for you at home,
that's what's going on here.
We have the opportunity to see a real reporter in action.
Michael Tracy is an incredibly funny character.
Michael Tracy has done, and full disclosure, I went to Connecticut College for college.
Chill.
Low-key flex.
Time for another gun out.
Yeah, there we go.
To flex on him.
Please no, please don't, please.
The Connecticut College, the story is this, that Michael Tracy did some deep dive and found out that when students came to the Connecticut College campus, there's about 1,600 kids, students who go to Connecticut College, if I remember correctly. Maybe it's 1,800.
So small.
It's so small, but it was smaller than my high school.
Wow.
My public high school was something like 2,200 kids or something in Worcester. And when they came back, you needed to be have a vaccine, like many of these colleges, and they did testing. And they did, apparently, according to Michael Tracy, too rigorous or too uptight of testing. And they found that there were 50 infections. Now, people can do the math. That's, I don't know, several percentage points infected in the first couple of days. And so they did basically a lockdown, a quarantine. People are going to stay in the dorms. You can obviously come out and eat.
Yeah, it's a problem because I just started school again with like seminars. We're all vaccinated. You have to be vaccinated. And we need masks in class. And there's still some instances of like breakout. There was a breakout case in some class. Even though everyone has to have masks and be vaccinated. Am I vaccinated against anthrax? That's a good point. I'm not. Maybe it was anthrax. Yeah, on my campus. Damn. That's crazy.
And at Connecticut College, a lot of the dorms have cafeteria.
Or are you telling me that the anthrax vaccine is actually a COVID vaccine?
Curious. Or at least they did. I presume they, many of them still do. So they wanted basically people not to go to classes. I think there was a lot of like Zoom classes.
Do you test dorm room poop for COVID? That feels like a Naomi Wolf tweet, right? Wasn't she like the remember Naomi Wolf is an important feminist author in the 90s? Wait, what happened to my fucking... Oh, it's fine. Okay. She said that COVID... People who have the vaccine should have different, like, sewage systems. And people who don't, because it would be bad if their poop mixed.
You ready for this? 10 days. Now, if you have been to school or work in the past, you know that over the course of 10 days, you don't have 10 class days.
Did Glenn Greenwald defend Michael Tracy?
Because they only do it during school days. So you're talking about there'll be 7 school days where you're in lockdown with the Zoom. And the college now is extremely expensive. It's like, as far as I can tell, 6 times more expensive than when I went, maybe 7 times, which is consistent with what's happening with student debt. So Michael Tracy got many.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's a banger tweet. I know that it's meant sarcastically. if you're feeling down about yourself or a little lost, empty, and lonely, come onto Twitter, go onto YouTube, and show everyone that you think Michael Tracy is a nerd and a loser. You hear a little smatter of applause and fleeting feeling of belonging. That's true, because he is one. So people agree so much. It's like, yeah, that's a great
emails and messages from students that they were upset about this.
No, he's totally off the deep end. Just genuinely lost
You know,
it.
there's
all of the fucking Chelsea stuff happened while I wasn't streaming, right? But yeah, even for Glenn, that was such a level of like just unnecessary cruelty and shittiness that I was like, I didn't know he even had that in him. But you know, it's literally to the like.
You know,
this is Tasa. Thank you for the gift sub. Like, he published like all of their correspondence, private correspondence from 2016 onwards, and it's like, so no one's gonna leak to him. You're not a journalist anymore, right?
All cops are bad.
And thank you for the 2 months, Tasa. Like, that's what happens there, right? You no longer
10-day quarantine. They did that on The Bachelor too. Maybe he should storm the set next time to see if any of the contestants are have.
And he announced on his Substack that he would be going up there to investigate because, and this is how you do reporting, folks. This is good for you Cub reporters out there. When you go to report on something, always bring your karaoke machine so that you can announce.
Oh yeah. It sucks. She's feeling okay though, so I think it's like a mild or non symptomatic case because double vaccinated. But yeah. So it's good to be transparent. But yeah, so praying for her. It should be okay, I think. She doesn't have particularly bad symptoms. Or she has like mild symptoms, which is good.
Announce that you've arrived. Play this clip.
Yeah. It happens. It happens. I'm so black-pilled about fucking COVID going away now. Like I told you all my view at the start of the year maybe was like, okay, well, we'll get to 70 or so percent in September, and then we'll be fine. And it turns out that that's not like if everyone was this vaccinated exactly a year ago, it probably fucking would. It wouldn't be gone, but the pandemic would be over. But no, it just fucking can't. It doesn't matter. Yeah, the question, because it'll be around as a at least mild threat for like a long time, forever. The question of how long it'll be a pandemic is interesting. I think at least another year. At least.
What I was about to say is, the main reason, just to reiterate, the main reason I'm here is not because I have any particular interest in what goes on at a small liberal arts college in Connecticut that I've never been to.
Because he is a fucking nerd. Sorry, that Glenn tweet. Like, look at him. Look at him. I'm sorry. Look at him.
It's because I've gotten so many, dozens of messages, phone calls, texts from people who have strong criticisms of the policy that you're all now subject to, but say unanimously that they cannot voice them in public because if they do, they will be subject to disciplinary action, they will be subject to social repercussions, they will face problems with their athletic programs, and on and on and on. So if you're not aware of that sentiment existing on the campus around you, maybe you ought to be a little bit...
FDA denied boosters? Why? What was the story behind that? I typed in FDA, but I actually said DSA. Why did they...
More aware, because I don't think it's good for anyone, whether you support the policies or oppose them, if there's this...
This one says... Oh, rejecting third shot for general population. Why is that?
Climate of conformity, where if you transgress, then you're subject.
It's not necessary? I guess it's... Oh, okay. Well, only 65 and up implies that you need to get it out for the most important people before even thinking about general population. Which, yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Subject to, disciplinary action and possibly expulsion.
Great reporting.
Why? Because they cannot speak on their own behalf.
You don't even go here.
I think
That's fine.
Hold on. I think, No. Yo, I'll define for myself, thank you, what my job as a journalist is.
Is this for a Fox News?
I don't think you're...
That's so funny. This is awesome because it's like the Ben Shapiro thing where he goes to yell at children on college campuses, but he's getting owned by them. It's like if Ben Shapiro was debating like a 18-year-old and he just started crying.
He wants a piece on the New York Post.
He's not gonna get it.
I go on. I was on a left-wing podcast.
Tucker Carlson.
I was on a left-wing show.
I'm cool. I'm famous. I was in a podcast.
I do everyone you will have.
To gather attention from you.
I've talked to you for about an hour. How about that?
Here's the best part. Listen to this.
Now, please, leave this campus. Get off. Please, we do not want you
One
here.
word, okay.
Pause it for 1 second. Pause it. So he's asked now. Now remember, the premise of this is that he is up there because there is such a climate of fear on the campus that supposedly you're going to be subject to disciplinary action
and social repercussions
and some vague social repercussions if you speak out about the lockdown. Now this is just absurd. This is just absurd. Now I don't know if it's still the case, but when I was there, it was an all student run honor code. It was one of the few colleges in the country that had one where the administration.
This is a post.
Stands a symbol of oppression. Blackgate Prison, where 1,000 men have languished under the name of this man, Harvey Dent, who has been held up to you as the shining example of justice. Behind...
It's so good.
Had no say in the adjudication and the meting out of punishment for just about every possible infraction, ranging from cheating to anything else. And it is the idea that there is something in the honor code about speaking out against COVID restrictions is just very hard to believe. Now, what social...
Did he study the honor code at Connecticut College?
He sort of vaguely referenced it in the Substack.
That's reporting.
And then the idea, like, social repercussions, like, people go like, dude, just chill, is like, I'm sorry.
Well,
like,
there is social repercussions for him being there. We can't bury this later in the segment. We have to show this interaction.
Well, we will show that. But it is like, where are the dozens of people? I mean, dozens means like 24 to 36 or 48 people. I mean, that's a lot of people on that campus.
Reminds me of that time they went to Capitol Hill and had a big rally.
Why aren't they there, though?
Yeah,
These people. But he is asked, Michael, in one word, why are you here? And here it is. Here he is. This is what he's doing. Here, play it back just a little bit. Go.
In one word, why are you here?
In one word, why are you here?
I was on a left-wing show.
I'm cool. I'm famous. I was in a podcast.
I do everyone you will have.
To gather attention from you.
I've talked to you for about an hour. How about that?
off, please. Leave this campus. Get off. Please. We do not want you.
One word, okay. One word on here is. Can I use 3 words?
Three too many, but come on.
Giving voice to the voiceless. That's 4.
It's way more than 3.
Really? I mean, have you ever stopped to.
God damn, he's such a fucking little nerd. That's so cool. How can you not make fun of this regardless of your politics?
Intellectual environment for so many of your classmates to just be.
He's giving voice to the voiceless.
That didn't happen.
Not 3 words.
That's why he
It
brought
is
a
actually,
microphone.
it's 5 words. It's 5 words, by the way. It's 5 words.
5 words. But why isn't he giving the microphone to other people?
Yeah,
if that's what he's doing. It sounds like he's
doing
giving
reporting.
He's giving voice to himself. It seems like.
Yeah, by the voiceless he means his Substack subscribers.
Exactly.
The phrase "touch grass," which is ironic, because like, isn't he on grass in this video? He's literally on. Damn. He even touched grass and it didn't work.
Here is the real. Here's the thing where I gained a lot of pride in my alma mater. Here is the question that really stumped Michael Tracy at out on I think it's Route 32 that he is actually standing on, if I remember correctly. Maybe it's Mohegan Ave. I'm not quite sure, but here it is.
Oh, they called into the show.
People want to stay out here.
Can I make a point?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, sorry, we got a question over here.
How do you feel about Joe's statement on this matter?
Whose statement?
Joe.
Who's Joe?
Let's go, dude. Because it's like, I love the one guy who's like, oh no. Oh fuck.
There you go. Giving voice to the voiceless.
It is.
He's just getting bullied by children. That's so funny. That's so good.
Like
damn.
a Don DeLillo scene to have a guy who claims to be up there to do journalism, not take like a pen and put that thing in your hat, the little slip of paper that you use for reporting.
Yeah.
Instead of that, you have a Wi-Fi
machine.
a karaoke machine with a cordless microphone and a speaker,
little antenna,
and you just shout at the people you're ostensibly reporting on.
I don't get that. I don't get what any of that is about.
That's journalism, baby.
And it's not like an impromptu type of thing. Like, I came here for journalism, but wait a second, someone left a speaker over here and a microphone, and I'm just going to pick that up in the course of my journalistic reportorial duties.
I'm thinking about I.F. Stone marching around with a megaphone or something.
That's what they did.
What happened to this man? Oh man.
Seymour Hersh was a really early pioneer in megaphone technology. He used to just walk around the Pentagon screaming into it.
I would love to, Tracy to show up at my kids.
Man.
Oh, incredible. So this is the Greenwald defense.
Liberal media figures, arguably like us, made Michael Tracy one of their most frequent targets for attack. Well, I guess we don't do that really.
I mean, he attacked us and we invited him on and had a conversation.
He built up a large following, then got an ample Substack deal.
Deliciously ample.
It is a very
ample deal.
Odd deal. I am so.
That's a very, Glenn. If you gotta change how you're using thesauruses.
Enriched by this deal surrounding me. It's so much more than I could have ever hoped
It's
for.
a bodacious Substack deal.
A major book contract.
All cops are bad cops.
Damn, these adjectives are
Yeah, he really went to the thesaurus for this one.
And an even.
Man.
A delightful.
Good.
Wait, what is this sentence? What are you saying? What is that?
Friend.
What the fuck what is that? This is not a real person speaking. This is
Low and break that down even.
He's talking about the fact that he has a girlfriend in this. A delightful girlfriend. He got despite the left hating on him, he has a delightful girlfriend. Is a real theory that Glenn has here. He's a real.
And they simply have no idea how widely despised they are. Let's just be clear here. If we were drawing a diagram, Sam or someone else mocks Michael Tracy, delightful woman sees this and says,
I wasn't introducing before.
It is funny that he assumes those kids are the left, which honestly shows a lot about the sort of psyche of a conservative as it relates to like young people on college campuses, because it is totally coherent for me to imagine a crowd of people who support Nick Fuentes asking just as like an example, asking fucking Michael Tracy what he thinks Joe has to say on the matter. That's perfectly coherent, because of course he's a fucking nerd.
Introduced it. I wasn't in any way interested in Michael Tracy before.
Connecticut College is also very liberal.
But now, well, how do I get a piece of that?
Sam's single, so we got it. That's what we're doing. This is basically for Sam's love life.
Oh, Sam was telling us off air, sorry if this gets me fired, that he wants to steal Michael Tracy's delightful girl.
Well, no, that's not what it is. It is, I am hoping that Glenn and Michael attack me.
So that you can be despised.
So that I can be despised and get a delightful girlfriend.
Which delightful girlfriend? We can't say.
I guess we're just going to have to wait and see.
I like
it's coming for you.
The ample, those adjectives, like ample Substack deal. What was it? The large book contract?
Major book deal.
Like it's almost like that. I would write it that way if I was trying to be like facetious and make fun of Michael Tracy.
Well, that's the weird part. And then there's this whole sort of like the girlfriend thing seems to be a theme, because then somebody asks them a question, which I think is sort of a rude question to ask somebody, unless they've but Glenn Greenwald put it out there in some interview where somebody asked him, are you
asked Tracy,
are you? Did they say, are you autistic, or they said on the spectrum?
Yeah, you're on the spectrum or something.
On the spectrum, which I really do think is,
It's horrible.
It's probably just an inappropriate question. But he argued that he's not because he has a girlfriend.
Which is an interesting response.
Which I thought was also sort of weird, because it never occurred to me that.
A little bit of ableism.
I think there are plenty of autistic people in relationships.
It's more about like, do women hate you because you're complete fucking assholes?
Well, I mean,
apparently not one.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with being on the spectrum, which he conflated. So
because he hears what he wants to hear. Opportunity. But it's also like how pathetic is he that they had to it's like Glenn was like looking for some compliments. Like when you have to compliment someone, you're like, they kind of suck. Oh, he has a girlfriend. He wears clothing, clean.
That's the Stavros Halkias stand-up bit that I'm gonna steal now. About how it's like when he fucks girls and they try to compliment him, they're like, oh, you have really cool shaped balls. Like that's the type of shit they go to. It's like, don't do that. That's worse than saying nothing.
It's just so weird. First of all, it's horribly objectifying of the girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea that her inspiration to go out even with Michael Tracy was a function of the attacks that he had online is just sort of like, look at these prizes he won.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I heard when Glenn Greenwald defended Nazis, he said even Hitler had a girlfriend.
Good point.
Eva Braun was delightful.
And he loved dogs. He had an ample, thick dog.
Oh, all right. Juicy, I measure my personal success by admiring my collection of ample girlfriends.
Oh, is it literally a fake interview?
Mr. Microphone, that's what it was called, says Bahabab. And all right, two more.
Oh, I see. So
we invited.
So he quotes from the fake interview. We got a Hill article. Oh yeah, it was about her testing positive. Oh well, this is just like a. Did they ask her, or is it just a quote? I think if we do the benefits of vaccine, my symptoms are very mild. Yes, this is a very good way of handling it from Chelsea, as we would have expected.
Exactly. He built up a large following, then got an ample Substack deal.
Deliciously.
It's very, the ample is very, all right. Student who interacted with Tracy during
Terrell, and I'm calling from New London, Connecticut.
It's Terrell, is that it? Terrell, New London, Connecticut College. Well, go Camels, as we would say.
Go Camels.
Back in the day.
My lighting is weird because
I don't know why
my window's open.
they're
I'm getting a bunch
Yeah,
of sunlight behind me.
we were joking before the show. I guess that's you guys aren't allowed to drink water. Just pass out on the field.
I take pride in it. I saw a camel belt with camels on it at the bookshop, and I gladly bought them. So
Well-
I think the camels, I think that's great.
Now, Terrell, what we're trying to do here by having you on is to give voice to the voiceless. Now I have a microphone. I don't have an amplifier, but because I have a microphone, I am necessarily involved in reporting.
Right.
Even though I don't have the amplifier. Terrell, what's going on that campus? How onerous and completely irrational is it that you have been unable to, and I assume that they force you to saran wrap yourself even to make this call.
It's so funny that he said he was giving voice to the voiceless. God damn.
I'm surprised even they're allowing you to call outside of the campus.
Well, they just removed the duct tape from his mouth for this call.
Will you tell us? You tell us the story of what went on there.
Is that a mask?
So it's been, the story just got updated this morning, and I think you'll be very interested to hear the update. But so Tracy, he came to the campus and he walked through the bridge from the athletic center because they shut down the campus because, they didn't want him to come. But he found his way, and me and my friends were the first people to spot him walking on the bridge. So we ran towards him, and he had a microphone.
Wait a second. I don't understand this. My understanding is the campus has been shut down. How are you allowed to walk around?
Yeah, it's not shut down completely. Students and stuff can still go outside and walk out and stuff.
But they're not having people from the outside come in because there's so many COVID infections on the campus. Is that it?
That's correct. And would you
that
like
seems
to
like
know
a horribly irresponsible thing to do. Wouldn't you want to invite everybody from New London in to give them COVID?
So Sam, I have COVID right now.
Oh.
I just tested positive this morning.
Oy.
Michael Tracy was outside maskless. So I called him this morning because I was able to get his number.
Oh, yes.
And,
I definitely saw a tweet about this.
And I said, Michael, we met each other yesterday. I just tested positive for COVID. I'm asymptomatic. I feel great. So I found it funny. I'm like, I just tested positive for COVID, Michael. And his voice totally changed. He sounded concerned, like COVID was like an actual, something to worry about. So he hung up immediately, and I texted him, and I said, this is not a prank. I'll send you my positive test. And he called me back, with a tone totally different than I'd ever heard him before. And he was like, oh, okay, so the school's gonna contact me. And then he asked, did I have a video of yesterday? And after that phone call, about 30 minutes later, he asked me again. And it's like, dude, you're not even asking if I'm okay, or you're not like quarantining or anything. You care about this video where you embarrassed yourself yesterday.
He's a cloud demon, dude.
All right, so he comes on, he walks.
He literally has he's a cloud demon. He only cares about
across the bridge. So it's just for people to know. What is it? Is that Route 32 or is that Mohegan Ave? What is that road there? That the
It's
bridge.
Mohegan Ave.
Mohegan Ave. Okay. So so for people who don't know, Connecticut College is on the sort of set back from the river Thames, and down closer to the river is the athletic center, and you got to walk across a footbridge. And so he got into the campus via footbridge, but it's not that they're just keeping Michael Tracy out. They're keeping out everybody because COVID is spreading on the campus. Is that it?
Correct. Yes.
And do you have any idea what the numbers are on the campus? And and then, what are the numbers? Do you know?
As far as I know, there's over 150 positive COVID tests. And the college.
That's 10% of the college campus, right? I mean, isn't it like 1,700 kids, students?
I think it's close to like 6 or 7%. I don't have the exact numbers, but the college said in an email last week, they said as soon as the cases gradually go down, then we'll lift restrictions. And just today, the college sent out an email, and they've lifted some restrictions now, and we're going back to class. So Tracy came to the school and freaked out for no reason, because even though the college said here are the protocols we're going to take, and as long as the caseloads go down, then we'll lift restrictions, and that's exactly what they did. So he kind of came here for no reason.
Are you suggesting that the college didn't buckle because he was out there with a karaoke machine intimidating the...
How about our positive cases? There was an outbreak at my uni with masked people who were vaccinated. But let me check. How's Canada doing with COVID? There's definitely a spike. In Ontario, though, it's maybe leveling out. You could see, sort of. I think this is a counting problem. Laura Loomer got COVID, and it's bad. How's the United States doing? Oh, yeah. Yeah, she said it was very bad.
College?
That she's not.
If you were one of his Twitter stans, then you probably have that notion, but no, the college was planning on.
Are you aware of what he was talking about when he said that if anybody speaks out against these restrictions, that they would suffer some type of either disciplinary action or social?
No, that wouldn't have happened. And in fact, after he came and made a fool of himself, even the conservatives who I talked to yesterday, they admitted, they were because he kept on referencing how this was similar to the 9/11 surveillance state, and everyone just looked around confused and what are you talking about? So I talked to the conservatives afterwards, and we actually ended up having a really good discussion, and they ended up agreeing with me, and they were yeah, I don't know what he was saying about 9/11. That was really weird.
So I was right. I was right. Even the fucking conservative kids were like, you little nerd, what the fuck are you talking about?
Lost me at that point.
Well, all right. So credit where credit's due. He brought people together.
To hate on him.
I think in the ways that he, in the most Michael Tracy way possible, yes, he brought people together.
All right. Well, look,
sort of repelled people together.
But wait a second, honestly, what was he talking about? What do you think have you met anybody of these dozens of people who emailed him or called him or told him that they were upset about that they felt like they were going to get in trouble? Did J Board, do they still have an honor code? Is the J Board still sort of do all the disciplinary actions?
Yeah, the honor board. Yeah, we just did elections today to vote for the honor council. I mean, and
the voiceless baby.
We were talking, and I was like, we could have had this dialogue, without, Michael Tracy coming here and embarrassing himself. And they agreed, and I mean, punishments are adjudicated by the honor council. So,
They call it the Honor
wouldn't have been
Council
punished
now.
for
It's not.
speaking out
It's
in-
not the. It's not the J Board.
No.
No, they changed the name. So there's no. You haven't heard any story of anybody being disciplined for criticizing the lockdown. And I don't know if there was like some social what did he call it? Social repercussions? Were there any social repercussions? Like, it's not like you're going to get disinvited to a party. You guys aren't having parties right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no, like, it's not like we're all going to bully you if you disagree. In fact, a lot of students, and I saw this incident, a lot of students did disagree with some of what the college was doing, but they said, well, Michael Tracy coming here and doing whatever he was doing just didn't help anyone's case. So, and they weren't going to be, like, no one was going to be punished for speaking their mind.
Well, that's good to hear. That would be rather distressing if somebody got punished for saying they didn't like the COVID restrictions. That would be wrong.
It would be like the 9/11 Patriot Act.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
You guys should have saw everyone's faces when he kept on, like, when he talked about 9/11, and I think even he realized, like, he was going too far, and he admitted, like, okay, well, maybe the equivalent, maybe it's not that, similar, but you get the point.
Do you have video of him talking about 9/11?
Oh my gosh, I'm not sure. I will go through my phone, and I will, like, if I do, I will find it. But if this helps, I do have a video of him getting escorted off campus.
I'm more interested in the.
I'm interested in that too.
Send us what you have at majorityreporters@gmail.com so we can
That's
talk
so
about the
good.
dozens of emails and messages that we are getting from the voices. Is there anything else that you think that is relevant here?
Do you guys have any questions? Like, I'm willing to answer anything. It was a surreal experience, honestly.
Where did he get the
This is less weird for the green screen, is it not? Or it's still sort of. Or I'm gonna get like an actual green screen so that the hair thing doesn't happen.
Karaoke machine.
I've been putting that off.
It was his childhood karaoke machine. How did you miss that, Sam? He got it for Christmas in 1996, and he takes it with him everywhere.
So I asked him, I said, aren't you a journalist? Because, and I get it. Like, I do journalism myself, but, like, when I'm doing journalism, I don't usually have a karaoke with me.
Oh.
And he was like,
welcome to the big leagues, my man.
Oh, is he speaking through a fucking a karaoke machine? Like his little microphone? That's so good. God damn it. Really?
He said, you don't know anything about journalism. He was like, this is journalism. It's, this is a form of journalism. And I was confused because it literally isn't.
I mean, it's the form of performance art.
All right. So here's the final question I have for you, Terrell.
Please.
Did he show up with his delightful girlfriend?
No, his girlfriend was not there.
Okay, all right,
he
fair
didn't
enough.
mention his girlfriend. So
Do we know she exists?
unfortunately- And we don't like to talk about, physical features that aren't,
Well, you don't have to
we're
be
very-
delightful in any type of way.
We're a very accepting college, and we love our, everyone in all shapes and sizes. But someone did ask Michael Tracy if we could fundraise a hair transplant for him, and he found it necessary to mention his girlfriend.
Are you serious?
Oh my God.
I'm 100% serious.
First off, Terrell,
I
let me
think
just say
that-
this. The hair transplant thing, super immature. I'm really disappointed in you guys.
God damn it, dude. That's so cool. That's so fucking God, it's so cool how much of a fucking loser he is. Is this like a repetition compulsion for some like traumatic bullying experience Michael Tracy has had? Like he feels compelled to recreate it by just going on to like college campuses and getting owned. Like what I genuinely like, he's clearly been bullied in his life. If you're an adult and this is how you react to people being like, you know, D's nuts, it shows that you were absolutely not capable of dealing with that in your youth. That was
but
not.
If you have video of it, if you have video of him responding with "I have a girlfriend," I would like to see that as a way of being very disappointed in you guys.
Right, to show us all what not to do.
Exactly. I think this is something I would want to show my kids as a way of teaching them, don't be like this.
Sam, we got our own little honor board.
I don't expect you to, but do any of y'all know what a fan cam is?
Yes, I do know what a fan cam is.
So there, and I will send this to Matt as soon as this is over.
Someone did it of Michael?
Someone did a Michael Tracy hairline fan cam, and it is quite honestly, I think, Sam, this will be a great way for you to be just a...
Oh, God. I love bullying so much. Sometimes it shows how worth it all is, you know?
Pointed at us.
I am so disappointed in you.
That is...
Do they play it? Can someone find me the Michael Tracy hairline fan cam, please? 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 I need this in my life.
I don't expect you to, but do any of y'all know what a fan cam is?
Yes, I do know what a...
Thing I've seen all day.
I'm just chomping at the bit for that very inappropriate footage to be sent to me.
Yes, well, Terrell,
I think I found it.
I know, I think it's just that I'm a cool guy.
Sometimes all I think about is you. Late nights in the middle of June. He always been
What I was about to say is, give me the money for the hair transplant.
Oh, then that's the thing of a hair transplant. Oh yeah, what did he have? A hair transplant?
Give me the money for the hair transplant. Just joking. Mama! I know.
Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff.
I gotta say that I have mixed feelings. I'm very disappointed.
It's not even, the hairline isn't even that bad. How old is he? But that goes to shit. The punch thing is
things
hilarious.
I've heard today,
where he claims that. The back is a little tough.
The hair transplant.
He also is a shitty. Oh, is he 33? Oh, that is unfortunate. Yeah, he is losing. That is very receding.
The level of immaturity when I was at school, I can assure you that I was extremely mature. The drinking age was actually 18 for that first semester of mine.
That would have been more fun with Michael.
Benjamin got a 1.35 GPA that first semester. Yep.
No.
I'm so happy that like estrogen prevents me from ever having to deal with that. I don't think on either side of my family there's receding hairline stuff. That is actually, by the way, literally a treatment that some cis men have for their hairline, is like a little bit of estrogen. The problem is it's like, is how much do you want to keep your hair, right? If you're a cis man, how much do you need it? What are you willing to lose?
No way.
Yep.
What?
Yeah,
he's the creator of Bob's Burgers, right?
Well, he's not the creator. He's the voice of Bob's Burgers. I mean, it was a 1.65. Yeah, I know he got called in by the dean and was like put on probation or something. So that was fun.
Well, he made it. He made it anyway. That's all that matters.
Does it affect libido? Yes. I would imagine also, if it's like this, it's you only get the negative effects where it's just like slightly lower.
Well, Terrell, really appreciate
Terrell,
the
you're
phone
a
call.
delight.
And,
Thank you. And also very, very bad.
Yeah, and buy that
boy.
amplifier if you're going to do journalism. Get serious about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Get serious about your. Just pick up. Just Google karaoke machine.
Get like
and
an
you'll be good.
orange. Get like an orange amp. Just put it on a
Honestly,
wagon.
Exactly. This is the key. When you're gonna go do journalism,
I totally will.
you get the karaoke machine, but you gotta get the one with the lights. So every time you speak, it will shine a light.
Oh yeah, I've seen. If you look at older Michael Tracy photos, his hairline is receding quite quickly. It is really.
And then, so
You'll need a TV to put the lyrics up as
That's
well.
true.
Transpose
This is definitely.
Sam,
This is a new
I've
thing
I've
he's
been
dealing
writing
with.
since I was 13 years old. I was on, I think I was on CNN once, and I think I've been doing journalism this whole entire time.
It's true.
And Michael Tracy has taught me the lessons of what a real professional journalist is. So I really appreciate that.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for the call. I appreciate it. Good luck. Have a good year at school.
Thank you so
Get
much.
well.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Folks, there's more of what you've just saw.
Yeah, that's good. That's very funny. There's a really funny train clip. Can someone find that as well? With his headphones? That was like recent.
Alright, so this is what they responded. They said, "Hi, we check your photos. Our doctor said, unfortunately, your donor area is very weak, so we cannot make hair transplant surgery for you."
His hair is too bad to get a transplant.
I wanna cry. I saw my mum's life. I wanna cry, bro. I'm my mum's life. I wanna cry. I wanna cry, dude.
Oh no.
Uh,
That's unfortunate. He's too bald for damn. That's unfortunate. Here it is. Thank you, Prodigy.
dick is stupid, dog.
I don't think this is the one, but oh, he does it in this one too. That's unfortunate. Oh no, this is the one. This is the one. Yeah, yeah.
It's the headphones. Look, the headphones sit perfectly on there. Okay, I don't mean to do that on purpose. Look, like that's just where the headphone. That's where my ears are, bro. No cap. Like, I'm telling you, it's. It's the headphones. Look, the headphones sit.
That's a very good clip. It's a very funny clip. That's the streamer able to turn anything into content. No, it's not out yet. It's out very soon. The thing, very soon, I promise. What else can we watch? Soon trademark. We can just
Dave
we can just keep
Rubin
going.
seems
Oh yeah, Bernie endorsed the NDP, which is not a surprise. I wonder, honestly, I'm more curious about how the NDP respond.
to be pretending to take a shot of tequila after Larry Elder lost.
Oh yeah, this is just Dave Rubin's comedy shops. We're gonna
Yeah.
get a look at the master dusting off his old skills.
And our king, DJ Danarchy, put this together for us, and for just the general audience to enjoy. I won't even preface it anymore. Take it away, DJ Danarchy.
I cannot believe we have to do a show today, guys. This is seriously a freaking nightmare. Like, this is an absolute nightmare. Callie's freaking destroyed. Oh. But we'll do it. We got a job to do, right?
He didn't even fucking do the shot. No, there's still that's not how you do a shot.
Callie's
You took a
freaking
sip
destroyed.
of alcohol.
Oh. But we'll do it. We got a job to do, right?
Incredibly
no matter what,
weak.
we got a job to do. So this is the good stuff. By the way, Don Julio. You know the Don Julio. Yeah.
It's a plug.
Let me I cannot believe I have to tell people that there's hope. You know.
Yeah, he's he's sipping vodka.
Good bit to do though, you know, like just drinking and depressed. That
We're live. We're live. Hey.
That's not funny.
How are you?
That's not funny.
It's September 15th.
Yeah, here's what Danica added.
Oh, I didn't see you there. You caught me mending my fences. One of the many things I do here on the range.
Oh, I remember that. And I wouldn't have thought to put those two things together. Brilliant.
I didn't even realize he was supposed to not be on like that. I just thought that it had started, like, you know.
I mean, like, it's obvious he knew that it had started and he was.
It's a very weak bit. I watched the full Ruben stand-up set. I think we have, actually. Dave Rubin's stand-up is just like he takes a census of the room. He's like, are there any gay people in the room? What's up with you? Oh, that's interesting. He just like goes through different identities. It's crowd work, but it's not even good crowd work. Like it's not spontaneous. Oh, we can also, I mean, I think this video is probably good. Alberta has been really bad with COVID right now. They totally fucked it. Kenny just opened up everything and was like, we'll get vaccinated eventually. And they had to declare another emergency.
The choices that leaders make in a crisis matter.
Today, Justin Trudeau tried to tie his main rival to the Alberta Premier's handling of the pandemic.
There are people in Alberta who want to do Wexit, yeah. They want to make
Just
their
a few
own.
days ago, Mr. O'Toole was still applauding Mr. Kenny for his management of the pandemic. And that's at the heart of the choice Canadians need to make in this election.
And the Liberal leader asked a question he hopes voters might ask themselves.
Do you really want Erin O'Toole to be sitting across from them at the Premier's table talking about how we end this pandemic when he himself can't stand up to the anti-vaxxers in his own party?
But Trudeau faced a question of his own. Why didn't he intervene to help Albertans?
It's not my job to judge or to criticize or to certainly not to tell people what to do at the provinces. They are duly elected.
Trudeau's closing arguments in these final days centers around trust. He's trying to drive home his message that his party is the only one that can be trusted to fight the pandemic.
He's repeatedly applauded Jason Kenney's handling of the pandemic. Today,
This is the funny thing. The election is on the 20th. The funny thing, this is why Trudeau is gaining ground again, I think. Because it used to look like the Conservatives were going to win, as I showed this before. But then people are like, oh, maybe actually, you see how it was like, called the election. People were like, why the fuck are you calling an election? Went down, and now it's going back up for the Libs. What are the odds? Let's see, 2/3. Because people are like, well, we hate Trudeau, but it's like, oh, why? Like they realize like, oh, that would mean the Conservatives actually have to be in government. And so it's like, well, that's not.
Today, Erin O'Toole was repeatedly asked if he still does.
As Prime Minister, I will work.
I'll do an election stream on Monday. Yeah.
With all premiers, regardless of strike, to fight against the pandemic. A pandemic that we need to fight. And Mr. Trudeau didn't fight. He called an election, a $600 million election.
I think Canadians are sitting at home wondering about the pandemic itself, not specifically about this election. Who do you think did a better job handling the pandemic? Provincial Premier Jason Kenney or Prime Minister Justin Trudeau?
Canadians are sitting at home, as you said, wondering why we're in an election.
No, I asked about who handled the pandemic better.
Question after question answered with talking points, but no mention of the Alberta Premier by name.
Trudeau spoke out about Kenny today. Singh spoke out about Kenny today. And O'Toole pretended he'd never heard of Jason Kenney today.
The Conservative leader trying to walk a fine line with 4 campaign days left to go. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Truro, Nova Scotia.
Canada is a psyop. That's such a good point. Paradox King. It's very bad in Alberta,
Right
though.
now, for you, as you observe, what's the greatest concern?
So right now it is healthcare capacity. We are at that limit, or arguably we've.
Oh, there's a difference. There's way less money in campaigning in Canada, because there's like laws to make it so that there's less, like you're not allowed to spend a certain amount for campaign funding. So there's I would honestly be surprised if there was more campaign like money spent in campaigning across all of the candidates than in the Cali recall.
Exceeded that limit. If we
There's
look back in
definitely
the
that
third
stat is
wave of the
empirical.
virus, the most people we had ever put in the ICU for COVID was about 180. As of yesterday, we were past 220. So 40 more people in the ICU than we had
Yeah, there are expense limits. Oh no, there's definitely I guess it's
previously
decided
ever
independently.
experienced. And keep in mind that that previous high was after we had already brought in significant restrictions.
Subsidy political distributions. Party level 33 million, riding level 21 million. So that's 46 million for a party. Then that's 2009. You can see, yeah, I was right. If there was 300 million on the Cali recall, it's like more than double how much is being spent in these elections. You can see conservative 40 million, 31, 20.
So that was how far the ICUs went after restrictions were brought in. We have brought in some restrictions this week, some more kick in on Monday. And right now, there is no sign that those ICU admissions are slowing over the next several weeks.
No, indeed, we're talking, as I just was in introducing you, that Ontario, Manitoba, Newfoundland, and Labrador all perhaps coming to Alberta's assistance in handling ICU patients, maybe being transferred there, which is a very difficult thing to do. These are in very fragile states of health, these patients. But also, I thought rather extraordinarily, hospitals are being said, find any space available. Operating rooms, recovery rooms. I mean, that really depicts how bad things are.
Yeah, so, and there's knock-on effects to that. So not only are we talking about putting people into the operating suite to actually treat them as an ICU unit, we lose that operating suite. Right now, we have canceled in the Calgary zone and in the Edmonton zones nearly all possible scheduled surgeries. So we are still doing emergency surgeries. If there is a trauma or an accident, we can still treat those patients. But if you had a scheduled surgery, even for severe things such as removing a brain tumor or pediatric surgeries to help kids
Do you not
walk
do that?
again.
Does American states don't do that? Like help each other if one has more resources for the crisis? Because that, I think, is an indication of like where America is going. Sometimes, in theory, they can.
Those are being
like if that happens less often, they 100% do. Oh, okay, because yeah, that would make sense, right?
delayed. We simply do not have the space, and more critically, we simply do not have the staff. Those individuals
Oh, right, Nick said advanced
that
others.
can treat patients are being redeployed, being pulled out of their normal units, being put into acute and critical care units to look after these patients. As pointed out by Dr. Wong, it is not the beds. We can put a ventilator beside another bed and treat patients, but typically an ICU unit has 15 to 20 people per bed in care. We simply don't have those trained resources to deploy to these surge beds.
So, given that as the backdrop, what do you think? What's your assessment of the measures as announced this week and whether you think they'll be effective in improving the situation?
So I think the measures announced will be effective. They will slow the viral growth. They will reduce the number of infected people. The question is, are they enough? Will they act fast enough? And what we did not see is any form of a circuit breaker. And I'm not saying that that's the only option, but we do know that as restrictions come in, it will be 2 to 3 weeks before ICU admissions start to slow down. So we are in a crisis at the moment. And for example, restaurants, bars, they will have to participate in a proof of vaccine program as of Monday, but yesterday, today, over the weekend, they're still able to operate with no restrictions. In contrast, as reported earlier, post-secondary institutions, so universities, even though at the University of Calgary we have a proof of vaccine program, 91% of people are vaccinated, and those that are not do submit testing twice a week. We were instructed to immediately switch to online delivery. So there's a lot of discrepancy in these guidelines. There's a lot of exemptions, a lot of different rules for different activities. And although overall it will have a positive impact, the question is, will it be enough in the immediate future to really avoid getting to the level where we triage patients and determine who gets care and who doesn't?
You raised something that I was planning on getting to with you, Professor Jenny, and that is this confusion in post-secondary institutions in the province, including yours, because with this announcement of proof of vaccination, as you said, being required, how will it apply in the
U.S. hospitals need to stop admitting unvaccinated COVID patients. I'm assuming, like, I'll bracket the idea that you're saying that people who can't get vaccinated because of like a medical reason, because some people can't get vaccinated. I'll bracket you saying that they shouldn't be thing. Regardless, that's ridiculous.
university setting, and how will they prove it? So you've raised it. What are you hearing about it, and how do you think it's likely to?
That's just more biopolitics. That's more of that. We're doing it again. Just
play out.
Yeah, we've been told
everyone should be able to get treatment. That doesn't. I don't. Yeah, there's no.
That our program actually conforms with the what we.
I'm genuinely fine taking the radical bioethical stance of like, I don't give a shit about personal action in terms of like priority, because you are genuinely valuing one life over another. And the idea that like, oh well, people, that will make people be more like reckless is ridiculous, because that's like a misunderstanding of how people act. Oh, I can just get another heart, it's fine, I'll continue being unhealthy, I do not care. I think the only like bioethical people who don't agree with that general position that I respect are people who just totally go to and take it to its logical conclusion and say that people who are more healthy deserve more and have more valuable lives, because that's the logical conclusion of that way of thinking. Like, if you're going to think that, you might as well just admit its conclusion.
We are refusing, apparently, in Alberta to call a vaccine passport the restriction exemption program.
Yeah, just take that to its logical conclusion, because it's an absurd way of viewing the world. It's yeah. No, I don't.
As opposed to vaccine passport. So apparently our program is already in compliance, but that was not good enough to remain in-person instruction this week. That may kick in on Monday. But again, at the University of Calgary, since the beginning of the semester, we have required students to attest to vaccine status. If they were not vaccinated, they were supplied with rapid testing for free, and they would have to submit 2 tests a week. And
oh, that's so goddamn, dude. No, I don't know. I think maybe it was actually specific to the University of Ontario. But it's like, no, you have the vaccine. You gotta get
that
it.
every time.
Unless you can't.
They do a test. So and on top of that, all instruction, 100% of students are required to wear a mask at all times indoors on campus. So we are in compliance with those.
Probability of survival is also, I would say, different than like the what is the phrase for it in bioethics? There's 2 distinctions between types of luck in terms of one's health. Ones that are foreseeable, that could have been stopped, that are based on personal action, and then ones that aren't. And
those guidelines.
I read a lot of this like a couple years ago, but I'm blanking on it. But yeah, no, that type of view is already in the system in terms of wait lists.
Before they were announced, and yet
And I
the
think it's
confusion.
like alcoholics, they either can't or it's much harder to get, I guess, depending, like new livers, because it's like, oh well, you drank, that's your fault, that's your own fault, as opposed to someone who's like has liver failure for a reason that isn't their fault. I just think that's a terrible way of viewing the world, and I'm willing to commit to the logical conclusions of that in a way that I think a lot of people who are like, well, no, they shouldn't get it. Alcoholics shouldn't get liver transplants because they made that decision, are probably not willing to commit.
The shifting goalpost required us to move online this week, and it appears as though we will be back to in-person instruction next week.
But the school year barely underway. Who knows what is in store? Can I ask you one final thought?
Yeah, all of this general discussion, though, does get into the idea of like, how do you can you and the question of the vaccine actually is interesting for bioethics. I would wonder, there's got to be philosophical literature on this by now. Oh, that's probably a really interesting field. That's why alcohol should be illegal. That's so true.
It was striking yesterday.
But yeah, the idea of like trying to rate people's lives empirically based upon their health and the conclusions of that. Because there are, and yeah, but yeah, I guess a more radical. What's your bioethical stance on freezing your head after you die for a small chance of reanimation? I think you should be allowed to do it, but only if you're not racist. Because if you're racist, I do not care for you. And you shouldn't be allowed to do that.
To hear Canada's top.
So, Walt Disney, we're cutting you off. Sorry.
Dr. Teresa Tam say, look to Alberta and Saskatchewan to a slightly lesser extent.
That was is a Norm bit about trans people. Let me find it. I think I posted it. Where did I put it? Where is it? Here we go. I found it.
And all transgenders, are courageous,
Did you? It's about to.
And all transgenders, are courageous, except the ones that are serial killers. I don't care for them.
It's so good.
And as a lesson against.
Yeah, but vaccines, the vaccine question is an interesting one. Buffalo Bill seething. Yeah, but if someone is able to take a vaccine, I think that there are two markedly different questions about that in terms of bioethics. One of them is about access to health and like treatment, and I think that it should be indiscriminate. I'm willing to take the radical position on that. That it's not people who are vaccinated the same position as unvaccinated should not be prioritized. But the question of like, should you pressure people into taking vaccines because if they don't take the vaccine they'll be fired is a different question. I think. I don't see that seems like it's because I am more sympathetic to that viewpoint.
Complacency watching another wave of crisis unfold. What would your message?
Because I mean that is a logically consistent point that I have to take. If I say that, alcoholics should not be less prioritized for liver transplants because they made a decision, and they don't their life isn't less valuable because of that decision, then I can't make that decision consistently with the vaccine stuff. Um,
Message be at this point to others, other provinces, other authorities?
More bioethicists are against vaccine passports. Behavioral psychology study shows. Can you link me some? I know this is a cringe source, but I actually do want to read because I haven't read much bioethics stuff.
Authorities watching the
I put the
situation in your
vaccine.
province.
Yeah,
That sounds
I
like a
think
really interesting field.
unfortunately we are acting as an example of what not to do at the moment. Early in the pandemic, there were concerns from other provinces that the plan in Alberta was not a solid plan, and immediately there was pushback and basically telling Health Canada to mind their own business. And unfortunately, now at the end of the day, we're asking for help from other provinces. So I think it was very clear to others that this may not have worked, and here we are now. I think the big lesson, though, is the virus, is still in the community.
Alcoholism seems more sympathetic. That's also true, but I mean, there are instances you can imagine in which it isn't sympathetic, in which there is really someone who is just like, oh, you don't care, you're being shit, you're actively, and if that is the case, then they're similar, right? The alcoholism, liver.
We have to treat it with respect. But critically, if you start to see changes in case numbers, it is to act early. And Alberta right now.
What about necropolitics? I'm vaguely familiar with like a Gambin.
Instead of having options on the table, it has been forced into very extreme decisions. And these could have been avoided had lighter restrictions been brought in August, for example.
You've been living with it. You have been watching it as a scientist, so the perspective doubly valuable. Thanks, as always, for the time.
You're welcome, Heather.
What is that?
Take care.
Professor Craig.
What do you think of the theories around COVID coming from Fort Detrick? Oh, that it was American? I think that's absurd. Right? Isn't that absurd? I haven't... That would be funny. But no, that's ridiculous, right? I mean, I haven't heard enough about it to make that conclusively. But that sounds absurd.
Craig Janney joining us from Calgary this morning.
Is there a video? Please, because I want to believe. I genuinely do want to believe. Please give me a reason to think that is somehow real. Who the fuck is... Okay. Nathan Rich. Is this like an expert guy? Or is this just a random poster? Actively engaged in disinformation to downplay the emergence. Oh, is he a dangist? Oh, is this like oh, I see. I see what's going on here. I have to follow party line and say that it's true. No. He's an American living in China. Was he like is he a capitalist that like wait, let me look at this again. He's okay, Wikipedia phrases it in he's sympathetic to the people's report. He fucks with the regime is what you're telling me. Hashtag rising. Did they give specifically Detrick? Oh, they did. Alleged at a press conference that Western powers may have bioengineered the coronavirus. Renewed the United States for Detrick. This conspiracy theory quickly went trending on Chinese social media. That's cool. Yeah, that's my headcanon now. It was Detrick. That is a funny, like an Uno reverse card thing. Let me. Is there a reputable scientific source that is considering this or has an opinion on this? I want to know the take. No, I mean just like has an opinion. Like has stated they think a thing about it. Calling it the Trump virus is baller. You know, we should be calling it the fucking Italian virus, honestly. No one is reputable. I don't know if everyone is on the same level of reputability in terms of virology. I think that virologists are at least a little bit above everyone else on virology. Yes, call it the Italian, because honestly, China had it pretty much under control, and then there was a small outbreak in Italy that fucking spread. And then as far as I understand, like every COVID case after that came out of Italy. Like all of the early American COVID cases came from Europe that spread through Italy, like a lot in Spain. COVID came to America from Europe, not China. Absolutely. It was Italy's fault. Those dang Italians. Do chairs exist? Oh, is this some ontology stuff? You know what I really want to see? I want to see a pro-China capitalist have a debate with like a pro-China communist, like two Western ones. I want to see that debate so fucking badly. That sounds so cool. I was just thinking about this. The what's his name? Nathan Rich guy, who's like at least sympathetic to China but also a capitalist. I want him to talk to like an online tankist. Like I don't watch debates online, but I would watch the shit out of that. That would be so funny. So two online capitalists. Did Infrared have one? Some fash who said he was Nats. Okay, well that's like okay. That's a strange type of guy. That's not what I expect. I guess if you
Hey everyone, today I'm going.
Liv putting on a debate show. I should do that. I should make like a round table thing. Yeah, I've actively not participated in any of those. I tried to watch one of those, and it's just I don't like it. I don't fucking care. It's just like five random people who have takes on things. I've never gotten it. I don't. Yeah. This is interesting. Thank you, Skopsky. This is a. Let me bookmark this. I don't. If it has data, I won't be able to parse it. which is a pain because I don't know how to. Vaccine passports may backfire. Findings from a cross-sectional study in the UK and Israel on willingness to get vaccinated against COVID-19. Because yeah, people are fucking freaking out. This is interesting. I delete my Twitch account if you host a panel. Across the world is a way of increasing vaccinated people's freedom of movement. These vaccine passports may have affected people's vaccination decision in unintended and undesirable ways. Investigated whether people's willingness and motivation to get vaccinated related to the psychological needs, autonomy, competence, and relatedness, and how vaccine passports might affect these needs. We found that need frustration, particularly autonomy frustration, was associated with lower willingness to get vaccinated and with the shift from self-determined to external motivation. Right. So this idea, this is suggesting, and this is what, a sample size of 1,300 people. So there's absolutely more work to be done in this, right? But this would suggest that it doesn't actually convince that many people. People are less willing to get it, and the people that get it, are very frustrated that they have to get it, which creates larger problems in the future. Because the people who get it are like, well, fine, I'll get it, but I don't fucking trust the medical establishment. I'm doing this because I fucking have to, which is interesting. That's an interesting that suggests something about biopolitics. I mean, I'm not gonna change my mind based on this small amount of data, and I've just read the fucking abstract. That's not a bad thing. Well, if it doesn't work that well, it might not be. I don't know. I don't know. This is still a small amount of data. Whether forcing people vaccine mandates are becoming increasingly urgent from public health officials of various governments. As they roll out, we must protect users in vaccine passports as do not want to use or cannot use a digitally scannable means to provide vaccination. We cannot let the tools used to fight for public health be subverted into systems that perpetuate inequality or as cover for unrelated unnecessary data collection. And I don't know what the Electronic Frontier Foundation is. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I mean, they're good. Cannot let the tools used to fight for public health be subverted into systems to perpetuate inequality or as a cover for unrelated unnecessary. Yeah, which is also inadvertently what happens because of biopolitics. Yeah, the broader thing is looking at disenfranchisement from medical establishment in the long term. Because if it doesn't convince that many people, and the people who do get it are mad that they have to get it, there's going to be another pandemic, right? It'll happen. The fact that it took this long was actually very bizarre. I was taking a health geography class the semester before COVID happened, and the prof, who is like a expert trademark, head of chairs is like his opinion is valuable in public health, was like, it is a miracle that there hasn't been a pandemic yet. Which is funny that he said it then. And so if people are like not, we need to find a solution to this. If you want a permanent solution, it needs to be one in which people want to have the vaccine as opposed to forcing people to get it. You could respond that there is like a inexplicable, like it's like you're trying to fucking square a circle here, and this is the best we can get. And I think maybe that's a valid response. What Bill Gates is afraid of? Oh God, no, dude. Can we permanently force people? I mean, if you want to perpetuate already existing systems of oppression, because public health is absolutely embedded in those systems, then yes, you can do that. But it'll also get worse, right? Why is it the case that so many people? Yes, I do. Well, then perfect. Then you have your solution. Why not just pay people? Honestly, that's a good point. Yeah, I think giving people treats is this is a treat economy. We're a treat nation, and many nations are treat nations. We love treats. It's the thing that is keeping people going. People fucking love treats. Um, that's like the deal that you get. That life sucks and you're disaffected and you have no relationship meaningfully to like social political institutions, but you get a couple treats. You can go see a movie. That's one of the reasons why people were so fucking mad during the pandemic, because you lose a lot of your treats. I don't even mean that in a trivial sense. I mean that in like a people need fulfillment in some way because their lives suck, and the treats you get are like, you get something. It's some form of social glue. My stream is a treat. That's so true. We love the treats, don't we, folks? So yeah, I think maybe an emphasis on treats before forcing people would have helped. I know there's like vaccine lotteries, but even just like, you want $100, something like that. That's a lot of money, right? But like, you want $100? You get the vaccine. People will do that, or $50 a pop for both. 2 doses. Your government did that, and I'm assuming it helps, right? I guess there's only so much you can do. Starting last month. Yeah, again, you gotta get it earlier. It only did a little. Oh yeah, I guess it's only been a month. Jason Kennedy, as far as I know, Jason Kennedy did a vaccine lottery, did he not? Um, Vaccine lottery has little effect on boosting. Vaccine passports mandates more effective than lotteries, says doctor. Well, there you go. I guess I'm wrong. Well, I guess what do we trust some fucking doctor? I don't know. It's a lot of. I guess people don't really know what to do. It's another thing. There's a lot. There's not much data on this, and I understand the impulse to do mandates, especially by the current biomed. Public health systems are usually contingent on like some sort of force or violence. Um, is giving treats a form of biopolitics? Well, yeah, it's a part of public health. Power is productive. It produces things. This is interesting though. This is a very interesting paper. Obviously very small sample size, but it suggests something that is at least something that I understand. If this is true, and maybe it isn't true more broadly, it's something that I would understand. Um, Reasons to expect that people's willingness and motivation to get vaccinated will depend on their psychological needs. The extent to which they feel a sense of autonomy over the decision to get vaccinated, the extent to which they feel competent in their ability to get vaccinated, which they feel a sense of relatedness to local and health authorities. Well, there you go. Look, I think that helps. I think that indicates something about how disaffected people are from just generally the institutions that surround them, that structure their lives. Why the fuck am I trusting them? Um, this is a hypothesis. If vaccine passports frustrate people's psychological needs, then these passports might paradoxically reduce people's willingness. I think that's a very good point. Um, which is a very large structural problem, right? That's not simply like, well, we give people treats or something. It's not simply the. It's the same structural problem that causes, Tuskegee experiments, the multitude of other sort of uses, enforcements of like racism by and through public health, a forceful sterilization of Indigenous women that is like still ongoing in Canada. That still happens. It means dealing with the same things that are causing those, and those are very deeply rooted problems. So it's not a solution that you can like, oh, let's just do a little tweaking of the state as it currently exists. Let's look one or two policies. It's very deeply rooted. And, as a result of that, it's not a surprise that the main things that people try to get people vaccinated are, one, positive incentive. And there is some attempt, there is some outreach, right? Which I think does genuinely help. Like people going to people and explaining what's going on, what the vaccine is, what the data is, like person to person, and trying to convince them to choose to want to get the vaccine for their own sake. I think that actually does help. There's that, but probably not actually as much of that as there could have been. Positive reinforcement, giving people treats, and then I guess what you can call negative reinforcement, which is like, oh, you want a job? Then get vaccinated. This is actually a really good indication that the Biden shit, his speech was a very bad idea. This could be, I don't know. I'll have to read through this. This suggests something, right? With a pretty small sample size. Psychological needs and people's motivation. Frustration, predicted autonomy, frustration, predicted unwillingness to get vaccinated, and a shift from self-determination to external motivation. Need satisfaction, predicted people's willingness to get vaccinated. Autonomy frustration was markedly higher than in the UK. That's actually interesting. But yeah, let's look at the vaccine, the Biden speech about getting the vax again, or maybe just the.
With COVID cases surging and deaths now.
We can look at the summary. Maybe this is, you can see, I mean, look at people's reaction to this. Does this indicate, like, I think this indicates that this is pretty correct in a certain sense. That it will absolutely increase vaccine frustration. The question is how many people actually get vaccinated. You lost 5 friends to COVID this week? I'm really sorry, Linda. That's terrible.
Patient, but our patience is wearing thin, and your refusal has cost all of us. This is not about freedom or personal choice. It's about protecting yourself and those around you.
The president is ordering nearly all federal workers and employees of contractors that do business with the federal government get vaccinated within 75 days, eliminating their option to be tested instead of getting shots. Employees who refuse could be punished, even fired.
If you want.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll fucking see if this works. This is all speculation, and we'll see. Do people actually get fucking vaccinated from this, and how many people? Does the frustration around being forced into a position cause, yeah, time will tell, I guess.
Want to work with the federal government and do business with us? Get vaccinated.
While initially reluctant to issue mandates, the president's aggressive new plan requires vaccinations for 17 million healthcare workers at hospitals and other sites that receive Medicare or Medicaid funding.
Why does it matter if someone who's already unwilling to get a vaccine becomes even less willing? Well, because the easiest way to get someone vaccinated is to convince them to get it. I mean, that's not a solution. I guess that's not a solution. It's not an immediate solution either, because it's like people are fucking, yeah, it's, in terms of the state, like what could Joe Biden do about it? Joe Biden could not convince these people to get vaccinated. That's probably true.
President Biden's now pressuring private companies too, directing the Labor Department to require businesses with 100 or more employees ensure their workers are fully vaccinated or provide a negative test each week. A move the White House estimates will impact 80 million Americans. Companies that do not comply.
They're all Trump supporters and QAnon. Yeah, jeez. Because that does indicate a frustrate where I'm like, yeah, like the only way those people are getting vaxxed. Actually, I don't know if that's true. Maybe it is. Is like if it's like this is a matter of your job. Yeah, it's terrible, Linda. I'm sorry.
Could face fines. The White House anticipating lawsuits.
We're going to protect vaccinated workers from unvaccinated coworkers.
All of it as approval of the president's handling of the virus has dropped since he expressed confidence about the pandemic 2 months ago.
Today, we're closer than ever to declaring our independence from a deadly virus.
The president tonight.
We're in the tough stretch, and it could last for a while.
And the TSA is doubling fines for airline passengers who refuse to mask up.
If you break the rules, be prepared to pay. And
I still don't think, I really don't think this messaging was good.
by the way, show some
It's
respect.
And Peter,
the speak softly and carry a stick or whatever was the quote. Seems like very bad rhetoric. It feels like this should have been. It's Teddy. It was about Alaska, right? It was about Canada. He was speaking about Canada in that quote. But this gives, again, you can really see vaccine frustration here. Because this is now a political, like, it was always a political issue, but this is like, we take the vaccine mandates more than a year ago. The millions of people that believe anything government says, put Biden in a nursing home and just tell him it's the White House. People are fucking pissed about this. They're losing their fucking minds. It's like this is fascism. That's their view. It better be worth it. Because I think this might have been. I think this shows an overwhelming. I'm sure that people who are already vaccinated are probably fans of this and it helps Biden in that sense. But I don't think. I don't know. Oh, actually, that's not that it fucking matters, obviously, but the Biden approval rating. Oh, yeah. When was the speech? The 9th? Oh, then I don't know. This seems like it's a general trend related to like the state of America, which is usually how that works. Just the opposite? Wait, in relation to what? Linda, do you think like the QAnon or more right-wing people that you know, do you think that they would be willing to get it, the vaccine, if it relates to like their job? Like if it's like you will be fired, or do you think that would make it worse? No one believes Biden now? Oh yeah, right. I see what you mean. You don't think so? That you mean it would make it worse? Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of this was Afghanistan as well. It's true. Yeah, I mean, seems to indicate the solution to this isn't just to force people. There has to be some actual reconciliation, or it gets worse. People become more frustrated. Like imagine, yeah, they're brainwashed. That is the conflict I have here, right? Where it's like they're fucking beyond anything. But then this almost makes it worse somehow. But then if it makes it worse, isn't it like, if it makes it worse, isn't it fine then? Because it's like at least some people are getting vaccinated. I don't. The trends take a long time to change. Oh, you're right. I guess, yeah. Show more polls. Let's see. Although, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Yeah, I mean, this is like a deep structural problem with just American society and beyond. You know, it's not a purely American issue. Um, yeah. This is an interesting paper, though. The thing is, there's no more federal money, so lots of people will have to go back to work. Oh, really? I guess that, I guess that will like, I guess the summary of this is, I guess we'll fucking see. Cause I don't, we're getting vaccine passports soon in Ontario in like a week. But I don't know.
Tonight, the governor's
Oh, okay, yeah.
warning: drop the vaccine mandate or pay the price. He's threatening to fine businesses and local governments.
Because this is a difference between America and Canada. Because Ford is doing the vaccine passports, for instance. He's a conservative, right?
Governments who require employees to get vaccinated or face termination. Fox 13's Jordan Bowen's been following the latest on the governor's announcement and joins us live from Tampa. The city of Tampa, we know, has also issued some pretty...
Yeah, there's a sense in which it's easy to see it through the lens of like Carl Schmitt and like this political distinction, right? Of like there is no talking about it. It's a struggle. Like it is not at the level of debate. It's about the level of like politics. In Schmidt is like, you know, but if we view it like that and we're like, okay, it is a struggle. There's nothing to talk about. Then the struggle is to get people who are not vaccinated. Then what side is we? Because the conclusions of that are also troubling. Yeah.
Strict rules, Jordan. So what does it mean for the city?
Well, Cynthia, the city of Tampa's mandate really just requires weekly testing. Unlike in places like Orange County, the vaccine is a mandatory condition of employment. Governor DeSantis has said in those instances, local governments will face fines, but tonight there is still a lot of questions. Whether it's a Florida business or a local government, firing someone for refusing to get the vaccine could have major consequences.
People that have put in 10, 15, 20 years, and now they're just going to get cast aside by some onerous mandate. That is wrong.
Monday, Governor DeSantis made his position clear, vowing to protect workers who refuse the shot and go after businesses and local governments who require it as a condition for employment.
We let it be known today. We're going to be enforcing Florida law against that.
The governor is talking about Senate Bill 2006, which he signed into law back in May. It bars Florida businesses and local governments from requiring proof of a vaccine. A new Department of Health rule enforcing the law is set to take effect Thursday. Under it, the governor says local governments will face a $5,000 fine for each employee required to be vaccinated. So far, Orange County, Gainesville, and Leon County have each passed mandates requiring employees to be vaccinated or be fired with exemptions for religious or medical reasons.
People should not lose their jobs. They should not be
I'm actually very surprised that the religious thing hasn't been pushed more. I didn't realize, what is or religious? Is that literally just you state you have a religious reason and you're
cast aside and thrown overboard like this.
Not to give anyone ideas, not that I think there are that many people in this stream that are not vaccinated because of,
based on this decision. So we're going to stand with them.
Meanwhile, the city of Tampa's approach is less aggressive, offering employees to opt out of getting the shot and instead submit to weekly testing. In a statement, Mayor Jane Castor writes in part, quote, "Vaccines are the way we..."
A lot of people have been indifferent, so like, oh, I gotta get vaccinated to go to this concert. All right then. So they do it. Yeah, the worry I have, at least what this suggests, is that the people who are indifferent, their attitude towards it is they get pissed off that they have to. It's not a thing of like, I guess I'll get it then. It's like, you're telling me I have to get it? You know, people are, you know, fickle. And the idea of having to do something compared to even when you maybe wanted to do it is like, which, yeah. Let people be pissed off. But the worry is that people get pissed off enough that they don't do anything. Or that, you know, people are so pissed off that when there is another pandemic that is this bad, because there will be, it's going to be even worse. Shouldn't we be in a position in which it's even better? But then you could respond, of course, is that something we can afford to worry about right now, given how many people are dying? And that's a good point. I just think it's complicated. I don't know.
In this health crisis,
I genuinely do not know. I'm not an expert in this field.
They are
in any way
safe and
whatsoever.
effective and the best way to protect city employees and our community. As for President Biden's federal vaccine mandate, DeSantis has vowed to fight that too. As part of the mandate, companies with more than 100 employees must require the vaccine or require employees to submit to weekly testing.
My sense is that would be way too expensive to continue with that. So the net result of Biden's policy is you're going to have good, hardworking people lose their jobs. And they're going to lose their jobs in very key industries.
And we did reach out to the governor's office for clarification.
It's democracy, baby. Or at least liberal democracy. Do I want to watch this?
Describe for me as vividly as you can what it is you're worried about, what it is that the nightmare scenario looks like.
Unfortunately, there's very few things, and most of
I love philanthropists.
them are very low probability. Some big.
Oh, does he talk about a pandemic in this? Is that why? Because this is 2015. Because yeah, that is like that's not a crazy thing for him to say. I mean, I'm sure that the COVID denialist people are like this. He predicted it. But yeah, that was a worry.
Volcanic explosion.
This is a worry that like a lot of virologists, for instance, have been fucking screaming about for like decades. That are like, we're not ready for this. We're not ready for this. If something fucking bad happens,
Gigantic earthquake, asteroid. Well, at least in the nuclear case, you've got to say we take it quite serious.
Okay, to the point, we don't have to watch this. He's gonna say that COVID. Actually, I wonder what the new comments. This is YouTube's way of saying I told you so. Devil in disguise. Of course, you knew about the pandemic. You had to keep part in it. Yeah, that's the truth to read or whatever. He's telling us his plans. Easy to predict the future and its plans. Yeah, it's like when Bernie was like, they're gonna say that the election is rigged because all of the in-person votes are gonna be Republican, and then the voted ones later will be Democrat. And there was like a documentary thing, like a QAnon one, that used that as an example that Bernie knew about the election being rigged and was announcing it beforehand. Like, even when you're right before it happens, it doesn't matter. Actually, that's evidence that you were in on it. Yeah, vaccine mandate soon in Ontario. There was an interesting, I think there was a Contagion video. Like what Contagion got right. This is an interesting one. Because that's a good fucking movie. Because we're on the fucking doomer thing now. We're here.
Been stuck at home for a week after the
Yeah, this is sort of a doomer stream. Or at least it's a very depressing topic, obviously. So if you can't handle that right now, which is very understandable.
outbreak
Just
has
be
halted
warned.
the world. So I decided to watch Contagion. The 2011 film, written by Scott Z. Burns and directed by Steven Soderbergh, depicts a worldwide outbreak of a deadly virus. Sound familiar? So I decided to compare everything.
Stop doomering. You suggested this before. The 10,000 isn't like a forcing
These
me
guys
thing.
got
It's a
right, and everything they got wrong.
We'll watch it eventually.
This is Contagion
I know it's
versus
COVID
reality.
hours.
March 2020. And of course, spoilers ahead. It's quite
Spoiler alert, there's a virus.
remarkable to see a film almost a decade old so accurately depict the reality of possibly the largest pandemic we have seen this century.
Europe is now the epicenter of the global
Travel ban began preventing entry for those traveling from 26
I'll refer to 3
European
points
countries.
specifically: disease origin, transmission speed, and the impact of misinformation.
Yeah, because there was like an anti-vax grifter, wasn't there, in the movie?
Probably the most shocking match with reality is that the fictitious MEV1 disease depicted in the movie originates from animals. From bats to pigs to humans.
Which is close.
The information that we have today about
It's like, it's pangolin bat, they think. Or it's bat pangolin instead of bat
SARS-CoV-2
pig.
tells us that it also has an animal origin. A bat to a pangolin to finally reach humans. It is believed that the disease made its way from a bat to a pangolin in a wet market, specifically this market in Wuhan where wildlife is traded. The conditions of the market, where animals are stacked on top of each other, likely created a similar
Interview with this other virologist, said probably a bat, probably wet market, probably China. Which is that's the thing about a lot of the Wuhan lab stuff, where it's like, of course there's a fucking virology center there. That's the reason why there was such a large center there.
deadly coincidence. Now, while only
No, this is what they think now. I think that Lynx is implying that this is what they said when he asked them in 2011.
a small portion of the Chinese population consumes wildlife animals, the highly contagious nature of this virus allowed it to quickly spread.
Oh yes, and the previous SARS outbreak was near there. Right, where it was a similar phenomenon. Which that's what happens when you encroach on a lot of non-human animal habitats, particularly bats. Is like you start to contract viruses for bats.
From patient 0 into the city of Wuhan. Which brings me to the next point: transmission speed.
Yeah, there is a theory that a part of it was the lab leak, but that it was like they were studying a virus that had already crossed over to humans and was already in the general population, and it leaked in the lab even after it was outside of like.
The reproduction number is used to estimate and represent how quickly a disease can spread.
How many other people are they likely to infect?
What is the delta R naught?
Now, before we had a vaccine, polio spread at a rate between 4 and 6. We call that number the R naught.
Like COVID-19, the fictitious virus is respiratory and can live in surfaces.
Is it 9?
Fomites for several hours or
8. Okay.
days, making it
Oh, it's only 8. Oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
all that easy to transmit.
The average person touches their face 2,000 or 3,000 times a day.
2,000 or 3,000 times a day.
3 to 5 times every waking minute. In between, we're touching doorknobs, water fountains, elevator buttons, and each other. Those things become fomites.
In the film, patient 0 contracts the virus in Hong Kong, which is technically another match.
Which, like, the reason for this, by the way, is because of SARS, right? Of course.
And imports it to the US. We see little of the development of the pandemic in other countries outside the US, but it does spread extremely fast in America.
Measles is 12 to 18. No, the engineered in the lab stuff is unproven. It's speculation. There's no real evidence for it. I mean, I'm not a virologist, but that seems like the consensus. Where it's like, it's not impossible, but there's no indication that it is. And like, China is not gonna fucking, give us limited access to info. So it'll always be this level of speculation. So,
well,
whether you assume it is or not is like a political question. You know?
MEV1 and COVID-19 share a similar R0 factor. In the film, 125 plus million people are infected about a month after patient zero.
I wonder.
Patient
it's
zero
animal
for the
human.
US
Yeah,
showed up
that's
in
what
January 19,
I think that's the easiest.
about 2 months before I shot this video.
The first case of the deadly Chinese coronavirus making its way to the
So
U.S.
that patient is a man in his 30s. He is in the hospital here
And there's not just one reason why the U.S. has been so slow to test.
And while testing hasn't been the most efficient in the country, the official estimate today is around 1,500 infected. In the film,
Right, this is March of 2020.
Response from health authorities and the government was prompt, with quarantine zone established as soon as 14 days after the first death. However, it's the impact and dynamics of misinformation and mass hysteria where we can find eerie similarities with our 2020 reality.
It's so annoying on the Twitch reply thing that I can see like an interesting message that says the genetic evidence suggests, and it gets cut off, and I can't click on the full message. I have to go up into the chat. Do I just not understand Twitch, or do I have to...
Distrust in the
Where's that
government
message?
and fake news. In the movie, they're represented by Jude Law's characters, a blogger that, while credited with noticing the
See
epidemic
thread.
early on,
Oh, fuck. Thank you so much. Natural origins, yeah.
begins disseminating false
There we go.
theories with no other seeming purpose than generating traffic for his website.
God damn it.
And chaos.
When I turned on my computer this morning, I had over 2 million unique visitors all looking for the truth.
He literally, it was clout. That was the thing. He did it because he got clout.
Alan fakes contracting the virus and fakes getting better using a natural extract called forsythia.
God damn it, dude. God damn it. The next thing you're gonna tell me is that it's a fucking like dewormer.
Forsythia is a real herb used to treat bronchitis and believed to help reduce inflammation, but even today, without sufficient
It's the same thing.
evidence to be used in medicine. Alan's claims
Oh no, it's not. Because I was gonna say it's a real medicine just applied poorly.
release chaos, and misinformed masses begin to try to get their hands on the extract.
And now to the growing.
Damn. Because this was March of 2020, so this was even before most of the hydroxychloroquine stuff, let alone the fucking ivermectin
Number
thing.
of hoaxes popping up online from false claims about treatment.
Similarly, a group of conspiracy theorists, including Alex Jones, have begun promoting microparticle colloidal silver.
Tested it. It works on just
Oh yeah, this was their first grift.
about everything.
This was their
beats
first grift.
coronavirus. They have
This didn't catch on nearly as much.
clinical documentation to prove it.
Order silver now.
A cease and desist was issued by the New York Attorney General, but we're yet to find out if it does anything to stop them. We are, of course, also seeing shortages of masks, which have been advised against for the general population by the World Health Organization, hand sanitizer, and toilet paper.
Yeah, I remember that. This was there was a lot of fuck ups. I mean, there's a certain respect in which that made sense. Because it was like you needed masks for people who fucking needed it.
For some reason.
I just want one pack.
When a vaccine is developed in the film, incorrectly just at 133 days after patient zero.
Oh yeah, that's way too early.
Jude Law's character threatens to continue misinforming his followers about the potential side effects of the vaccine, including autism.
The lawyers indemnified the drug companies. Maybe it causes autism or narcolepsy or cancer 10 years from now. Who knows?
Just the other day, 2 years old, 2.5 years old, a child, a beautiful child, went to have the vaccine,
and came back, and a week later got a tremendous fever, got very, very sick, now is autistic.
The film also taunts at misinformed government officials.
Well, Homeland Security wants to know if we could put a vaccination in the water supply, like fluoride, cure everyone all at once.
Which is just icing on the cake after seeing this go down in a real-world White House.
You take a solid flu vaccine, you don't think that would have an impact or much of an impact on corona?
No. Did Trump really ask if a flu vaccine would give you immunity to coronavirus?
Probably none.
Probably not.
As for what comes next, the film predicts a suspension in basic services, food shortages, and mass graves. Let's hope that we don't get to see any of that.
Yeah. Damn. How does the movie end? How does a Contagion end again? Is it? Oh, that's unfortunate. So they get a vaccine. There was mass graves, yes. They literally did use yes. They get a vaccine. The vaccine is found in a few months, and then it ends, and everyone willingly gets it. So Contagion was too optimistic, is what you're telling me. Like, genuinely too optimistic. That's... Yeah. Life is good, folks. Let's look at... We're just...
Well, you're most welcome to today's talk. It's Wednesday, the 15th of September, and I really appreciate you sticking with me during the poorer quality videos when we were working out of town. Thankfully, we're working from home again now. Now, we've been wondering for some time what's going to happen this autumn, and it's remarkably interesting, in a strange kind of way, how similar the patterns are between the United Kingdom and the United States. Now, I want to focus on the United Kingdom today, but a lot of what I'm going to be talking about applies wherever you live in the world. There's a lot of general principles. Now, let's just look at a few orientation slides from the United Kingdom first of all. These from the Prime Minister's meeting yesterday. These were the Chief Medical Officer's slides that he showed during that occasion. So a number of people testing positive for COVID-19. Well, you can decide where that is. I'd say it's kind of level, really, overall, in terms of people testing positive. But when we move on to the number of people in hospital with COVID-19, I'm afraid we do see that that is going up gradually. So this is the number of people actually in hospital at the moment. So we see on the 10th of September, okay, it's 5 days ago now, but that was 8,256 people, and it is going up slightly in terms of people actually in hospital. Nothing like where we were on the previous peak, but with more to say on that. Deaths, again, they are going up, and you know, there's still quite a few deaths per day here. So the most recent 7-day average up to a few days ago, 141 deaths per day. This is not nothing. This is not insignificant. Number of people who've had received a vaccine for COVID-19 in the United Kingdom, well, these are actual numbers. So we see these are going up quite nicely for both doses and the first dose. 48.4 million individuals have received a first dose. Of these, 44 million have also received a second dose. So there's only about 20 million total population left to go to get vaccines, and about 5 million people who are eligible to be vaccinated who haven't yet been vaccinated. And we'll look at some of the implications or potential implications for these people now. COVID-19 cases come into emergency care within 28 days of a diagnosis. Now, these are age groups here. So under 18, of course, not many vaccinated yet, although that is changing. 18 to 29, so this is 2 vaccinated, this is the unvaccinated. And you can see that going up to the age group. So when we're in the 70 to 79-year-old age group, this is the proportion that are doubly vaccinated. This is the proportion that are unvaccinated. So we see that someone in their 30s there who is unvaccinated has roughly the same risk of someone in their 70s who is vaccinated. This is the level of protection we're getting from the vaccines. And of course, this is despite the fact that now there's way more people in the country who are vaccinated than unvaccinated. So they're the rates per 100,000. So that shows you the level of protection of the...
That is an important detail.
Of the vaccines in terms of hospitalisation. It's nothing like where we would like it to be. I can't help feeling a bit disappointed, but Patrick Vallance, the Chief Scientific Officer, said these vaccines are remarkably effective compared to what we could have had and the expectations. So we have to be grateful for what we've got and where we are, because without this, things would not be good at all. Deaths within 28 days of a positive test by vaccination status. And again, thankfully, we're not seeing deaths in the younger age groups, or very minimal amounts. Again, each one is a complete tragedy. But if we look at the 70 to 79, these are deaths in people with 2 doses of vaccine. These are deaths in the unvaccinated. So we see really quite a stark difference there. Now, what I want to talk about now mostly is this. This is the paper. I'm going to show you this paper here in a bit of detail today. That's the paper we're talking about there. We'll show you the direct link for that now, but it gets a bit confusing just looking at it on its own. So we're going to go through that a bit. Now, I just want to start off with something interesting here. 8-week scenario for daily hospital admissions in England. This is what's going to happen over the next 8 weeks. Now, if the R rate stays round about where it is now, kind of about 1 as we are at the moment. Let's suppose the R rate was 1.1, then that gives us the green scenario. If the R rate is 1.5, that gives us the blue scenario. And if the R rate is 2, that gives us the red scenario. And we don't really care about number of people testing positive. What we're interested in is the level of people being hospitalised. And this applies to the United States only more so because there's a larger proportion of people in the United States unvaccinated. There's still a whole nation of people in the United States not vaccinated. So let's look at that. So here we have it here. So these are the hospitalisation figures at the moment, bumbling along at a fairly low level. But of course, autumn has to come. Now, we know it's the 15th now. This is always a bit out of date. But these are hospitalisations per day. Now, first of all, we have the green scenario here with the low R value. And what we're seeing is that as the cases increase with the R value being above 1, we do get more hospitalisations. And these are the kind of interquartile ranges around here.
Now, this guy is a doctor who just started making COVID videos. And look, it's adorable, right? It's like not to, infantilize him.
So
whatever.
It could be sort of down here. It could,
because it is also interesting. But it's cute. Like he colored.
Be up here. These estimates are hard to figure out. But what we do see is that even with an R rate of 1.1, we could be up to about 2,000 hospitalisations per day, way higher than we are at the moment, where we're kind of down in those levels. But then if we increase the R rate to 1.5, with each person infecting 1.5 other people, then I'm afraid the hospitalisation rates shoot up really quite dramatically to well over 6,000 per day. And again, these are the interquartile ranges here. So you can't predict exactly where it would be, but it's within these kind of levels. The solid line is the most likely level. So we see in 6 weeks' time, 5-6 weeks' time, really quite dramatically high levels of hospitalisation, which would be not good at all. But then if the R value was 2, which we're not expecting, but if it were to be 2, then I'm afraid the graph kind of goes off the scale. And this is a direct copy from the site, so you can make that top line kind of where you'd want it to be, up to sort of 10, 11, 12,000 hospitalisations per day, quite potentially unsustainable levels. Let's hope that is not the case, but it is a less likely scenario, because That's kind of where we are at the moment, heading into autumn. Now, of course, the numbers in the United States and other countries would be different, but the overall proportions and trends will be similar. So it is quite possible. And in fact, it's much more likely in the States that hospitalisations are going to go out of control. I'm always being told off for being alarmist, but I'm really concerned about hospitalisations in the States going up in autumn dramatically based on this data from the UK and the fact that there are more unvaccinated people in the United States than in the UK. So that is why I am concerned. Now, I want to give you a bit of detail on this now from this report. So if hospitalisation is likely to rise, so we're looking at 2,000 to 7,000 per day next month. Now, this is still a question mark. We're still hoping it's going to be here, but they are going to rise because the vaccines have not completely broken the link between hospitalisations and deaths. The government's got a plan B. So basically, the Prime Minister's saying, well, plan A is we carry on with very loose restrictions as we are now. Plan B is we have to have some restrictions in place. But the point is now there's so many people with some degree of immunity. So I think it's about 94, probably even 95% of people now have some antibodies or some evidence that they've had this infection or the vaccine or been exposed to the antigen in some way to develop some antibodies. So there's a lot of immunity out there. So what that means is relatively minor modifications, like people just wearing face coverings in public areas, or just a couple of million people working from home, could be enough to make a big difference because of the large proportion of people that are already immune. So like a year ago, where are we now? September. So no one was vaccinated a year ago. Then those little differences would have made essentially no difference to the overall amount of people getting the infection and getting hospitalised because there was so much less immunity around. So little changes could be required. We're not talking about another lockdown. Little changes could be required to have a big influence. And that's the same to remember in the United States as well. So little influences like less social mixing, like a bit of common sense, a bit of common decency in face coverings, more people being vaccinated, few more people working from home, less social interactions, that could make all the difference. And the calculations changed completely in the last few days because we now know in the UK people over the age of 50 are going to be getting a third dose of vaccine. So now...
So in the UK it's over 50.
I know I'm going to be getting a third dose of vaccine. I don't want to get exposed now, because I know I'm getting a third dose of vaccine and I know my protection will be much greater after the third dose of vaccine. So I'll wait to be exposed or take the more chances after my third dose of vaccine. When firstly, I'm less likely to spread it to other people and I'm less likely to get seriously ill myself. So the dynamic has changed a lot in the last few days. What we want to really do now is...
I thought my view was for a while that this would be over in like September, because people were just vaccinated. It's like, okay, well, it's not over, but it's like way better. But no.
Focusing on reducing these infections, and apart from anything else, so we don't get the red line, because that would be potentially...
But yeah, I mean, there is still spreading among vaccinated people, but in hospitalizations, but it's way fucking lower. I mean, it really is important to emphasize how low it is.
Potentially disastrous. Well, unmanageable. People would die if that happened. So government's plan B. So Sir Patrick Vallance saying basically if you're going to make a move, it's got to be earlier than you think and more dramatic.
Your supervisor told us he's going to get fired if he doesn't get a religious exemption. Wild.
Than you think. So basically the Prime Minister talking about his plan B and Patrick Vallance talking about this means that the two of them together are giving themselves quite a bit of wiggle room, as we would say.
What subject are you being supervised on, if you don't mind saying?
In England. Now this report here that we were mentioned,
90% of ICU admissions are unvaxxed, Alberta. High intensity mental health.
And here, that's this one. Do look at it for yourself. It's pretty intelligible actually. It's not written in sort of scientific gobbledygook language. It's actually pretty good. You can if you're prepared to take 2 or 3 hours over it, you can read it and make a good job of it. Anyway, this is the scientific pandemic influenza group on modelling. So for groups for pandemic and influenza. So that's COVID and influenza, but of course influenza can be pandemic as well. So presumably they're that stand, I don't know what the O stands for actually. Someone let me know. Organisation or something. I don't know what it stands for. But it's a scientific pandemic influenza group on modelling, and they report, of course, to SAGE, Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies. The UK is currently experiencing high prevalence and likely entering a period of growth because of the time of year, I'm afraid. It's a time of significant uncertainty, but the school holidays are basically over. So we've got children going back to school, we've got children mixing.
Start craving. Do you think it's better, like, if the healthcare workers who refuse to get vaccine just get fired, like, so you don't have to be around unvaccinated people, compared to like understaffing? Like, it's worth it for the understaffing, in your opinion? That's not loaded or whatever. I'm genuinely just curious.
School, a big factor, of course, as we have known for a long time now. Possibility of further evidence to emerge on the duration of immunisation against COVID-19. So they're saying here, basically, we don't know about the longevity of immunity that we're going to get from natural infection, although we're still optimistic about that. We're thinking about 3 years, hopefully, or more on that. But the protection of the vaccines, we know it's going down against symptomatic disease, and it's a case of how much that goes down against hospitalisations and severe illness. At the moment, not very much, but the trend is there. That's the concern. So the modelling is ambiguous because that term is not fully understood. Possibly broader, longer peaks than the original estimates that they had. So in other words, more likely to be in this green scenario with a not so high peak, but potentially a longer one, because if you think about it, this is quite high levels of people here being hospitalised for quite a long period of time. It's not as if it's shooting up then shooting down again. This is going on that takes us up to the 2nd of November, so this is going on till basically well into December with increased hospitalisations is a possible scenario. Potential for another large wave of hospitalisations is what we are worried about. We don't know, but they are saying there's this potential. We hope not. And especially now we're waiting for the 3rd dose of vaccine in vulnerable groups. It means we have to put off as many infections as we can for as long as we can, because we're getting this 3rd dose of the vaccine now, and we know that's going to boost immunity or put the immunity back to where it was after the 2 or 3 weeks after 2 or 3 weeks after the 2nd dose of vaccine, or hopefully even better. Well, hopefully even better than that. Increasing cases remain the earliest warning sign that hospitalisations are likely to rise. So as cases increase, that means hospitalisations will rise over the next few weeks, although nothing like as much as they did. There's clear consensus from the group that high levels of home working has played a very important role in preventing sustained epidemic growth. So home working has worked.
Home working? What does that mean?
And they're also highly confident that the decrease in home working, which is happening now, over the next few months will result in
just working from home? Okay.
In an increase in cases as well. So when people are working from home, they're just interacting less. So the group is saying that all this working from home that people have been doing, where they're able to do that, has reduced the spread. When people are going back to the offices, that will increase the spread. It's basically that simple. And again, these principles apply wherever you live. If enacted early enough, a relatively light set of measures could be significant to curb substantial growth. So we might need fairly light measures. And of course, the reason, as we've said for this, light measures can now have a big effect because there is so much community immunity. I won't use the term herd immunity, but let's not use the term immunity because immunity sounds absolute. Let's use the term relative resistance to infection.
That is so fucking blackpilling, dude. God damn.
I think that would be a better term. It's kind of partial immunity, isn't it, really, for a lot of people. Current status in the UK from the UK Health Security Agency. R rate in England is between 0.9 and 1.1. The growth is between -1 and 1% per day. So we're kind of flat to take your pick there, really.
Yeah, because the UK, it's going down now, right? Which is good, I guess, right? Because UK has not done really any lockdowns. But it seems like their cases they've managed to like sort of stem it.
Aren't we, as we did notice. But that's per day. We're not talking about very short doubling times here, but of course that can take off, as we know. It's unclear how high prevalence and emissions may go without intervention. So the cases are going to go up in autumn. We're going to see why in a minute. Reflections on modelling. So basically this group got it a bit wrong for the 19th. Now the factors in that, the factors, schools closed for the summer, which helped. Changes in behaviour. People did not go nuts. In Jonathan Van Tam's word, they did not rip the pants off their freedoms. They were cautious and gradual, which is good. Changes in mixing patterns have been more gradual than the group were hoping for, which is good. Basically,
Dave will show you, this guy is anti-mud fossil. Old guy putting phone a computer, but giving us real data about the world.
A lot of people have been highly responsible about this and highly cautious. The population has not reduced their cautious behaviour as dramatically as was considered possible. We've had a heat wave, so people have been outside most of the time. It's been a fantastic summer. More sunshine, more people outside more of the time. In more sunshine, of course, you make more of this stuff, which on this channel we believe is highly, highly important. Vitamin D, and people move inside, breathing each other's airs when airways get colder. More confined environment, shutting the window because it's cold and drafty, and of course making less vitamin D because there's less sunshine. Larger proportion of the population have been isolating as well after being identified as a contact case. So compliance basically with isolation measures after people have been informed that they've been exposed to a case has been pretty good. It's been pretty good. So Imperial College London modelling, pessimistic scenario assumes 3 years average duration of infection-induced immunity. So they're pretty confident this is going to be longer than vaccine-produced immunity.
Right.
Does not consider any variants beyond the Delta, so that's still an unknown, what's going to happen with new variants. Peaks occurring in October to December instead of August to October.
Isn't there like the new variant or the Mu variant now? No Sigma variant yet, which please give us the Sigma variant. A variant of interest. They don't consider it immediately dangerous.
In other words, they had thought with the July openings that August to October would be the high peaks. Now they still think they're right about the shape of the peaks, but they just think they've been pushed back, delayed. And it does make sense now you look at it. So they believe now the peaks are going to be October to December.
It's going to pop off, I promise.
Which is a pity because it means we're going to have peaks in the winter months as opposed to in these earlier summer months. So for those reasons we looked at, they've revised these models. It does make a lot of sense what they're saying now, I believe. And I agree with them now that October to December, so starting about 4 weeks' time, October to December is going to be the peak. After that, I'm confident that in early next year, we're going to start saying goodbye to a lot of the aspects of this pandemic, but we've got this first part.
So that's his prediction, is that it's going to ease up early next year.
Part of the winter to get through yet, and that's true wherever you are. If you're living in a part of the world where vaccination rates are very low, I'm afraid you've got much longer to go than this. Highest levels seen in Stepfar road map scenario will not be reached. So the highest, the terrible.
I'm too pessimistic, but I also don't know what I'm talking about.
Predictions that we had won't be reached unless immunity wanes a lot, unless there's a lot of waning of immunity or there's a novel variant emerges. And I don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think that's going to happen quickly. So I'm pretty happy.
Will not be reached without waning. So they're saying, he's saying, I don't think there's going to be an emerging novel variant. You didn't hear it. I knocked on wood.
That's not how I wouldn't say happy.
Like, I'm not
I'd
gonna
say I feel
I'm not
confident
gonna.
that we're not going to get to the very, very high levels of hospitalisation that were feared at one stage, although the delays in the peaks are going to be, as we've said, October, November, December, it's going to be the peak times. And I believe it's going to be very, very similar for the United States as well. So behaviour was assumed to be consistent across groups. That's not really true, because if those at higher risk of getting sick and dying from COVID take greater precautions, levels of hospitalisations and admission could be lower in those groups. And this does seem to be the case, that the older people and the ones with comorbidities who are more at risk of getting sick have been more careful in their guarding and precaution.
New vaccine blocks COVID-19 variants plus other coronaviruses. Studying animals identifies a potential way to build vaccines to fight future pandemics. Developed Duke Harmon Vaccine Institute is proven effective in protecting monkeys and mice from a variant of coronavirus infections. This was the original SARS-CoV-1 and related bat coronaviruses that could potentially cause the next pandemic. Now is May of this year. Is there any update on this? We love a pansexual vaccine, don't we, folks?
Taking. Vaccine effectiveness estimates continue to be refined. We still don't really know. We've got a bit to learn about this. And they're refining these and altering their models accordingly weekly. There's now evidence of waning vaccine effectiveness, particularly 140 days after the second dose. We know that's the case now, unfortunately. Those individuals vaccinated in late 2020 or early 2021, therefore, will have less protection in the coming months, but we know that they're going to start getting a booster dose in the UK and increasingly in the United States as well. The third dose of booster vaccines, which are to be given, will reverse the waning of the protection and will limit the impact of waning immunity. So third dose is basically going to reset the clock. Therefore, best to get infected to the natural infection after the third dose, now that we know that's going to be available. So policy clarifications, third dose for over 50s.
Yeah, because the other thing about this is there are so many people who are not vaccinated in the world. If there are people who are not vaccinated, there's going to be new fucking doses. I mean, if they find one, if the third dose protects people more generally from whichever next variant, then that's good.
In the UK, we know that's happening. Vaccines have been sent out centrally to Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland, all over. Everyone's going to get that in the UK, as it is a
right. So they already have the third. They already have boosters and they're sending them out. How many boosters have they made so far?
Available in the United States as well.
Many vaccines are made from aborted baby organs. Well, isn't the Catholic Church pro-vaccine? That's why they work so well. I don't think that's. I'm not an expert. If the Pope is pro-vaccine, then vaccine aborted baby organs. I've never heard that claim before.
And chief medical officers in
vaccine ingredients, fetal cells. Growing the virus in fetal cells. I think that's different than aborted babies. Growing a virus in a fetal cell? Yeah, I don't.
England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales have now advised that we start vaccinating 12 to 15-year-olds.
Oh no. I don't. This is. quasi benefits consequence of using aborted fetal tissue in vaccines. It's for medical research. It's the vaccines aren't made out of it. The medical research gained to create it used them. Permits temporary use of vaccines generated using aborted fetal tissues to protect children from preventable diseases. Right. Okay. Okay. I thought you were claiming that it was like made of aborted baby, which sounds like a cute thing, but that's not what you're saying. It's not the vaccine. Okay, that's I can.
Chief medical
right.
officers have made the same decision. One imagines that.
Oh, they're claiming that? That's not a. Oh. I guess this is obscures the value of all human life. Oh, that is a questionable. That is a question. Wait, is there a video? Can we? Google is this misinformation shit. I wish there was a place I could go that is correct, and I wouldn't have to. I don't trust this. Where's the Wikipedia? Researchers developing and producing vaccines through growing viruses in cultured laboratory-grown human fetal cells. Since the cell strain in use originated from abortions, there's been opposition to the practice. This is a really good blog in the Nebraska Medicine specifically on the subject. Can you link it? Has encouraged its member to use alternative vaccines. Vaccine experts and manufacturers state that vaccines do not contain any of the original. So they don't contain any of the original, but some of the research. Vaccines that have been or are made using cell lines derived from fetal tissue. Well, that is, I have no moral issue with that because I think, yeah, I'm not a Catholic. Surprise. Oh, but Regeneron is literally. Do the COVID-19 contain aborted fetal? So this is a question about whether the things contain it, which is no. Do not contain it. However, fetal cell lines, cells grown in laboratory based on aborted fetal cells collected generations ago, were used in testing during research. It's true that decades ago, scientists decided to use fetal tissue to start the cell lines we use to test drugs. However, the description of ongoing modern fetal tissues harvesting to create vaccines is dishonest sensationalism. As a practicing Catholic, which is the best way to start a sentence, I think the moral balance of indirectly benefiting from abortion that occurred 50 years ago in order to take a vaccine that will prevent further death in the community is a no-brainer. Fetal cell lines are cells grown in a laboratory. They descend from cells taken from abortions in the 70s and 80s. These individual cells from the 70s and 80s have since multiplied into many new cells over the past 4 or 5 decades, creating the fetal cell lines I mentioned above. Vaccine makers may use the fetal cell lines during the. They do not contain any tissues from They do not contain any tissues from a fetus. Current fetal cell lines are thousands of generations removed. Okay. Yes, I'm not Liz Brunig. I do not resemble Liz Brunig. That is not why I implied that you would think that I'm a Catholic. Wait, let's see what the Pope. This isn't. Let's see what the Pope has to say is not helping when I'm trying to convince you all that I'm not Catholic, but let's see what the Pope has to say.
Tante argomentazioni che hanno creato questa divisione, no? Anche nel collegio cardinalizio ci sono alcuni negazionisti e uno di questi, poveretto, è ricoverato col virus, no? Tante argomentazioni che hanno creato questa divisione.
Oh,
no?
damn.
Anche nel collegio cardinalizio ci sono alcuni negazionisti e uno di questi, poveretto.
Damn. The ironies of life, just flexing on them. So yeah. There's cells that multiplied from the lining of in aborted fetal cells from the 70s, and that is what's used to research. That was used in modern research. So there's cells that have an origin point 50 years ago in a fetal cell. That's what it is. Okay. Fetal cell lines were used. Right.
They've had a conference call about it, and they're demonstrating a bit of pack behaviour here, but they're all singing off the same hymn sheet. So the 4 chief medical officers are all agreeing on this. And the JVC, I did kind of pass the buck on to them to make the decision, and they made it. So that's the way this system works. So vaccines are now being offered for 12 to 15-year-olds. Individual choice, of course, on that. Family choice, children's choice.
I have read that.
If acute COVID-19 combines with other pressures, now this is
still human cells. I guess is that a metaphysical question at this point? Does that count as it's a cell derived from a human cell? I don't know, but that's fine. I don't care about that. I guess I'm not a Catholic. I don't think that counts as a human cell still. Does it not, or is it still? I don't think it matters. I don't think that matters. Yeah, there are you can get human cells from like me without I guess that's an ethical qualm for Catholics maybe, because it's like 50 years of generations ago that came from what once was a human. No, it was not an offer. Please do not collect cells from me.
Is concerning. Is there going to be a lot of pressure from the NHS on long COVID? Well, from long COVID.
Wait, I thought long COVID was a meme. What is... You can grow a fetus in test tube? I don't think that relates to the other thing. Is long COVID real? What the fuck is long COVID? Oh, it's like the after effects of COVID? Oh, okay. I've only seen it on memes where it's like the Havana syndrome gave me long COVID or whatever.
There's going to be some, for sure.
Oh,
There's
okay.
some already.
Oh, I see.
There's about 80 clinics set up around the country already. How big's this going to get? We don't really know that one yet. Other infectious diseases, well, we know these are going to come along. There's influenza going to come along, probably not a bit later on, probably sort of November, December. Respiratory syncytial virus, loads of that already in children. Norovirus, a lot of that already. And the other thing that concerns me is co-infection with SARS coronavirus 2 with other infections. We know from data from winter in early 2020, when people were still getting influenza and were getting SARS coronavirus 2 infection, if they had both infections at the same time, they got more critically ill. So influenza vaccine is going to be absolutely vital this season as well. And of course that programme has already started. Mum had hers last week, which I must say I thought was a bit early. I'd much prefer to have it in, where are we now, middle of September. I'd much prefer to have it in about 4 or 5 weeks' time, but that's the way the programme's working.
I'm going to call it here. It's 8. But yeah, the summary of the stream. Thank you all for tuning in. I'll be live tomorrow as well, obviously. Summary of the stream. Life is good, and things are getting better. It's on the up and up, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. It's great stuff. There's nothing to complain about. Good night, everyone. I'll rate Hannah, because they rate me sometimes. Good night, everybody. Yeah, I will be getting a real green screen soon, finally. Goodbye, everybody.